Pokémon, I became a Pikachu. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 51 was a success. Damn it, meow. Watch me slash wildly. The sudden attack of Pikachu from the sky startled Jessie and Meowth. When they saw the electricity flashing on Pikachu's cheeks, they naturally guessed a little thing's plan. This time, Pikachu really caught Jessie and Meowth off guard. Who would have thought that a Pokemon without a trainer's guidance would have such intelligence for a sneak attack? At this moment, it was too late for Jessie to summon Arbok. Fortunately, Meowth was a Pokemon, so it was naturally not afraid of Mu Chen. Meowth's front paws lit up, and bursts of cold light flashed on its claws. Obviously, Meowth was planning to give Pikachu a tearing pleasure. However, since Mu Chen dared to choose a sneak attack, he would naturally be wary of Meowth standing next to Jessie. Pikachu, I can't use 100,000 volts, but using a much weaker electromagnetic wave is no problem. Facing the oncoming Meowth, Mu Chen's choice was to decisively deliver an electromagnetic wave. ZZZZT, a current flashed. A weak but extremely fast current shot out from Mu Chen's cheeks, hitting the Meowth that was pouncing in midair. Meow, this was truly beyond Meowth's expectations. Normally, if Pikachu suddenly appeared, its first target would definitely be Jessie, the trainer. After all, Jessie, whether in terms of individual combat strength or her Pokemon Arbok, posed the greatest threat to Pikachu. But who would have thought that this suddenly appearing Pikachu, after charging up for so long, would prepare an electromagnetic wave with no lethality, merely for interference and paralysis. Moreover, this electromagnetic wave was also delivered to Meowth. Caught off guard, Meowth was immediately hit. Pika, ignoring the paralyzed Meowth beside him, Mu Chen used the momentum of his fall from the air to deliver a quick attack to Jessie. His stamina was nearing its limit, and this electromagnetic wave had taken him a long time to prepare. Mu Chen knew that in his current condition, he could only use the electric shock once at most. To ensure the success of the shock, Mu Chen naturally chose to use his own body as a weapon to charge at Musashi. The closer the distance, the greater the power of the electric shock. HMPH. Yellow-skinned rat, this time I won't let you trick me again. Seeing Pikachu charging at her, Musashi immediately assumed a fighting stance. Last time, she was ambushed by this little yellow-skinned rat, who even paralyzed her on the spot, and she only escaped with Kajiro's help. This was a humiliation for Musashi. Now, seeing Pikachu trying to do the same thing again, Musashi immediately realized that her chance for revenge had arrived. This time, she would definitely let him taste the power of her leg whip. However, little did Musashi know that Mu Chen was waiting for this very moment. Pikachu, just as Musashi raised her long leg to kick Mu Chen high into the air, Mu Chen unleashed the last of his electric shocks. Bang, sizzle, unsurprisingly, the exhausted Mu Chen was sent flying. At the same time, Mu Chen's electric shock was successfully activated. Because of the physical contact with Mu Chen, Musashi fully absorbed the power of the shock. Although this shock was only the weakest current, enough to give Musashi a quick burn, it was enough. Having been delayed by Mu Chen for so long, Officer Jenny and the other League security personnel had already arrived. Just as Mu Chen was kicked away, he saw Officer Jenny in her uniform appear at the edge of his vision. Pikachu, damn, so tired, I can't go on, I need to sleep. Seeing Officer Jenny appear, Mu Chen completely let go of his worries, and a huge sense of exhaustion washed over him. In mid-air, Mu Chen had already fallen unconscious. However, just as he was about to lose consciousness, he vaguely heard Ash's idiotic and anxious calls. That idiot, he came to? This was Mu Chen's last thought. After an unknown amount of time, Mu Chen finally awoke from his unconsciousness. Looking at the fat, round, pink giant egg beside him, Mu Chen revealed a smile that he hadn't expected. Damn it, I knew it. This thing was definitely the one treating us at the so-called Pokemon Center. Pikachu. Great. Ha ha ha. You're finally alright. Finally, After being tormented by Blissey, Mu Chen saw the long-lost light again. Looking at Ash, who was bandaged but smiling, Mu Chen smiled at him for the first time. Pika, this kid, he's actually quite loyal. From now on, I'll protect you. Through this incident, Ash had completely moved Mu Chen, finally changing Mu Chen's opinion of him. Although this guy is a bit of an idiot, although he often does some incredibly stubborn things that leave me speechless, and although he's always inexplicably confident. But this kid thought of protecting me in a crisis. That's enough. Mu Chen isn't heartless. How could he not be moved by Xiaozhi's actions? Pikachu. Thank you. Thank you. I'm relieved to see you're alright. You little rascal, you know what? You scared me to death. Compared to Xiaozhi, Mu Chen's first choice was naturally Misty. After all, how could that sweaty, silly boy Xiaozhi compare to that fragrant young lady Misty? At Misty's call, Mu Chen decisively abandoned Xiaozhi and jumped directly into Misty's warm embrace. Pika, letting out a sweet chirp to Misty, Mu Chen stuck out his little tongue and began licking Misty's cheek. Of course. This wasn't about taking advantage. You see, Misty, seeing Pikachu recover, was already crying her eyes out. I'm wiping away her tears. Yes, I'm wiping away Misty's tears. Okay, Pikachu, stop it, it tickles. Of course, Misty thought the same thing. Seeing Misty like this, Mu Chen knew that his intimacy with this little girl had probably increased significantly. He just didn't know what skill he would be rewarded with after this victory. He hadn't paid close attention to the system's prompts before, he'd have to investigate them later. Through this battle, Mu Chen realized the importance of strength. In this world, without strength, one cannot even protect the people important to them. Therefore, Mu Chen now yearned for power more than ever before. Chapter 52 The final deadline for the chain mission. At this moment, Mu Chen was very troubled. Although he had successfully rescued Xiaoxia, Musashi and the others had escaped. This wasn't surprising to Mu Chen, and it wasn't the reason for his distress. After rescuing Xiaoxia, Mu Chen received a malicious reward from the system. He didn't know the exact power of this randomly drawn enhancement skill. Everything still needed to be tested in actual combat. Similarly, the skill itself wasn't the reason for Mu Chen's distress. What truly troubled him was that there was only one day left until the deadline for that clumsy fish's series of quests. Yes, today was the final day. How could Mu Chen be happy about facing such an ugly creature? Even though Ash and the others were currently heading to the port, planning a romantic sea voyage on the Saint Anne. Pikachu, Mu Chen knew that if Ash successfully boarded the ship today, he wouldn't have a chance to complete this unfortunate quest. After all, Mu Chen couldn't possibly put on a fish and rat brawl in front of Ash, could he? Therefore, what Mu Chen was doing now was stalling for Xiaozhi's time. Anyway, the Saint Anne's ship still had 2 days before it set sail, so let's spend the night in the wild. Only in the wild will I have a chance to deal with that ugly fish. Pikachu, stop running around. Let's try to reach the dock today so we can rest on the ship. Of course, Xiaozhi was completely unaware of everything Mu Chen was thinking. Seeing Pikachu constantly running around and disrupting his travel plans, Xiaozhi was helpless. What's going on? Why is Pikachu so energetic after its treatment? Did Nurse Joy give me special treatment this time? Did she give Pikachu some extra treats? Xiaozhi, I don't think Pikachu seems that eager to go to the Saint Anne's. Maybe we shouldn't go. Compared to the careless Xiaozhi, it was Xiaoxia who noticed Pikachu's abnormality. This little guy is usually incredibly lazy, never walking a step, but today he won't even let me carry him, always running around everywhere. There's definitely something wrong. Of course, no matter how perceptive Xiaoxia was, she could never guess Mu Chen's true purpose. What? I think Pikachu just has too much energy. Looks like I need to find Pikachu a worthy opponent. As a battle maniac, Xiaozhi's opinions were always so unique. Pikachu, damn it. Go fight yourself, I'm not in the mood today. Hearing Xiaozhi revert to his idiotic state, Mu Chen almost rushed back to give him a shock. This unlucky kid, why is his hut filled with nothing but battles? Xiaozhi, we probably won't be able to reach the dock today, maybe we should find a place to rest. Finally, night fell, and Mu Chen's goal after a day of toil was achieved. I said we could get on the ship today and find someone to battle with. Realizing they couldn't reach the saint and that day, Xiozhi sighed in frustration. Pika, holy crap. Is this why you're in such a hurry? Hearing Ash's words, Mu Chen was nearly driven mad with anger. But at least the guy was finally willing to rest. After a simple meal of instant food, Ash and Misty both drifted off to sleep. In the darkness, a yellow figure crept up and skillfully stole the Pokeball containing Fellfish hanging from Ash's waist. This was none other than Mu Chen, who had been waiting for a long time. With only 2 hours left until the mission's final deadline, Mu Chen dared not delay any longer. The thought of the eternal impotence penalty for failure made him extremely cautious. What the hell would his life be if he failed because of the time limit? Pikachu, skillfully opening the Pokeball, Mu Chen summoned Fellfish. Come out, little beauty, let's have a good time. Of course, this was just Mu Chen hypnotizing himself. There was no way he could see any chance of Fellfish successfully evolving in the last 2 hours. Helpless, Mu Chen could only face reality with tears in his eyes. Whatever, it's all the same whether I close my eyes or not. Filled with endless grievance, Mu Chen, his eyes brimming with tears, slowly stroked the hard scales of the clumsy fish. But then, something astonishing happened. Just as a tear fell onto the clumsy fish's scales, its body suddenly began to shimmer with a dazzling light. Holy crap! What's going on? No way, am I that lucky? Seeing the sudden transformation of the clumsy fish before him, a faint sense of anticipation rose in Mu Chen's heart. Darling, evolve. Evolve. You absolutely must evolve. At least, after you evolve, I can successfully complete my mission, and I won't have nightmares anymore. Finally, under Mu Chen's expectant gaze, the dazzling light around the clumsy fish dissipated. Then, no, a long, drawn-out cry rang out. Looking at the 6-meter-long, streamlined creature before him, radiating a dazzling light, a sight of breathtaking beauty, Mu Chen finally couldn't hold back the tears welling up in his eyes. It evolved. You finally evolved. I've had it so tough. You see, to get my fishy to evolve into melodic, Mu Chen had to sneak away from the wild almost every night to have a chat with it. Finally, all his hard work paid off, and Mu Chen successfully evolved melodic. Pikachu, darling, I can totally accept your current form. Come on, time is short, let's hurry. Excitedly, Mu Chen rushed towards the newly evolved melodic. But Alice, things didn't go as smoothly as he'd imagined. Smack, a crisp striking sound rang out, and Mu Chen was stunned. What the hell? What's going on? Looking at melodic, still thrashing its beautiful serpentine tail with a wary expression, Mu Chen had absolutely no idea what had happened. What the hell? Wasn't this arranged by the system? How could she have this attitude? And I've been talking to you day and night, and you just abandoned me after evolving? You damn woman. You've gone too far. Looks like I'm going to show you who's in charge here. Pikachu, at this moment, Mu Chen was furious. I know, the long cry rang out again. Faced with Mu Chen's anger, melodic wasn't about to back down. Chapter 53 Exhausted Mu Chen. Eno. In the quiet of the night, a long, drawn-out cry echoed intermittently. Melodic had been completely defeated by Mu Chen. And Mu Chen's mission was successfully completed. Although the mission wasn't smooth sailing, filled with twists and turns, Mu Chen was still very satisfied with the final result. Pikachu, looking at melodic, curled up and no longer showing any hostility, even a hint of affection, Mu Chen knew that his skill usage this time had been very successful. Little snake, I can't take you down? Of course, Mu Chen was also very fortunate at this moment. Without the paralyzing skill electromagnetic wave, and without the dash skill quick attack, he probably wouldn't have been able to defeat melodic. Of course, these were secondary. What made Mu Chen most grateful was the skill the system rewarded him with after rescuing Misty, high-speed boost. You see, when Mu Chen successfully subdued melodic and began completing the mission, he noticed the deep contempt in melodic's eyes. How could he tolerate that? As a grown man, being looked down upon by a snake? Absolutely not. A mere snake dares to look down on me? What else is there to say? Agility activated, take this. Amplified by his skills, Mu Chen unleashed a frenzied lightning strike, and despite melodic's constant use of recover to regain its strength, it finally succumbed to Mu Chen's power. Having successfully completed the mission, Mu Chen finally felt a huge weight lifted from his shoulders. Pikachu, honey, Go back and rest. We'll spar again sometime. Muttering to himself, Mu Chen put the defeated Melodic into his Pokeball. The only thing that disappointed Mu Chen was that this series of missions didn't offer any rewards. Previously, when Mu Chen was more relaxed, he hadn't cared about the rewards. Now, eager to become stronger, he naturally valued the system's rewards highly. System, oh system, whether you're helping me or messing with me, just give me the missions already. With this thought, Mu Chen, whose stamina was also greatly depleted, fell into deep sleep. Ah! I slept so well. Misty, Pikachu, wake up, we need to get going. After a good night's sleep, Ash's energetic shouts reached Mu Chen's ears. Pika, damn it. You slept enough? I fought half the night yesterday. No way, I can't get up, whatever, I'm sleeping. You see, last night, to defeat that powerful Melodic, Mu Chen expended a tremendous amount of energy. Now, he hadn't gotten much rest at all, and Ash, this madman, wanted to get going. How could Mu Chen possibly stand it? Ash, Pikachu looks so tired. How about we rest for another morning? It's not too far from the dock anyway, we should be able to get there in the afternoon. Unlike Ash, Misty was more concerned about Pikachu's health. The little guy wasn't feeling well yesterday, and today he looks even more exhausted. Seeing Pikachu like this, Misty couldn't help but feel sorry for him. Oh. It's alright, I think Pikachu just didn't sleep well last night. How about this, Misty, you hold Pikachu and let her sleep in your arms, okay? At worst, I won't challenge anyone until Pikachu recovers. As a battle maniac, Ash couldn't bear to spend the whole morning in this wilderness. As long as he could board the ship early, he would have plenty of opportunities to find opponents on the Satan. Pikachu wasn't feeling well? Ash wasn't worried at all. His condition was only temporary. He could challenge him again when he was better. Moreover, Ash already had Pidgeotto and Feraligatr, so he didn't need Pikachu to fight against most opponents. At this moment, Ash was unaware that his Feraligatr had evolved into the beautiful Melodic. Oh dear, Ash, you really are. Misty was speechless at Ash's belligerent nature. How peaceful was Pikachu once? Just because it had such an unlucky owner, even it had become belligerent. Helpless, Misty could only pick up the still sleeping Pikachu and hurry to catch up. There was no other way. Ash, this heartless rascal, had already strode forward, and if she didn't hurry, who knew where he would run off to? Pika, holy crap. This is inhuman. Being picked up by Misty, the dazed Mu Chen finally realized that Ash had started rushing again. Can't he just rest for a bit? I'm really tired. But Alice, Pokemon have no human rights. Mu Chen, held in Zyuox's arms, could only let out a weak cry to express his dissatisfaction. Pikachu, you should rest. Don't worry, I'll be very careful. Since Pikachu risked its life to save him last time, Zyuox's affection for Pikachu had increased significantly. Her care for Pikachu far surpassed it for her own Pokemon. Of course, Zyuox herself was completely unaware of all this. Pika Pika, hearing Zyuox's comforting words, Mu Chen weakly responded. Fine, fine, just carry me on my way. Although it's not as comfortable as lying down and sleeping peacefully, it's still bearable. But just as Mu Chen was about to drift off to sleep again, Zyuox had already caught up with Ash, who was walking ahead. You want to challenge me? Haha. I'm a trainer with 3 gym badges. At this moment, Ash had clearly entered battle mode again, successfully triggering a new round of Pokemon battles. Pika, holy crap. Are you crazy? Mu Chen was still awake when he heard Ash's loud laughter, and he almost collapsed. Damn it, how the hell am I supposed to fight in this state? However, this time Mu Chen truly misunderstood Ash. Knowing Pikachu was in poor condition, how could Ash possibly send Pikachu into battle? Go, Feraligatr, this battle is yours. Seeing that the opponent was just a Ponyta, Ash chose the water-type Feraligatr to battle. Regardless of Feraligatr's strength, at least its type advantage was there, right? I know, but when the Pokeball flashed with a dazzling light, everyone was stunned. This is Feraligatr? Are you sure you summoned Feraligatr? Seeing the beautiful Melodic, the trainer who challenged Ash was dumbfounded. Are you sure you're not kidding me? This thing, is it Feraligatr? Chapter 54 The Satan. Ha ha ha. That's great. Frill, oh no. Melodic. When did you evolve? I didn't even know. Seeing that his summoned Frill had evolved into Melodic, Ash wasn't surprised at all. He was completely enveloped in happiness. Of course, Ash wasn't concerned with Melodic's noble and beautiful appearance. What he valued was Melodic's combat power. This Melodic was so large, its combat power must be much stronger than when it was Frill, right? I surrender. But just as the excited Ash learned about Melodic's general abilities through the Pokédex and was about to issue an attack command, his opponent announced her surrender. Seriously? Are you kidding me? How can he fight like this? Putting aside the type advantage, just the size difference is incomparable. Although this trainer wasn't particularly knowledgeable, how could he not have heard of Melodic, a very famous Pokémon known as the most beautiful? Therefore, the trainer readily conceded defeat. Not fighting anymore, a huge sense of disappointment washed over Ash, and his excitement vanished considerably. Why did he suddenly stop fighting? But what could he do? The other trainer had already recalled his Pokémon. Ash couldn't very well chase after him. Sigh, looks like I'll have to find another opponent once we're on the ship. Good job, Melodic. With a sigh, Ash dejectedly recalled Melodic. However, Ash was unaware that in the dense forest not far behind him, Team Rocket had just witnessed Melodic's appearance. Wow. It's so beautiful. I want a beautiful Pokémon like that too. Strange, where did this kid get such a rare Pokémon? Meow. Ah. Jessie, let go. Let go. That hurts. Seeing Melodic, Jessie's eyes were filled with love and envy. After all, Melodic's form was simply too beautiful. For Jessie, who had an extreme love for beautiful things, how could she resist such temptation? Compared to Jessie, Meowth was more curious about why Ash suddenly possessed a rare Pokémon like Melodic. After all, they had battled Ash quite a few times before. Aside from that cunning yellow-skinned mouse, Ash didn't seem to have any other powerful Pokémon. Unlike the excited Jessie and the puzzled Meowth, Kajiro was in agony. Jessie, you're excited, fine, but why did you pinch me? This really hurts. No. We have to catch that Melodic and that Starmie. Ignoring Kajiro's cries of pain, Jessie made a very serious decision. But the problem is, they seem to be planning to travel on the St. Anne's. We don't have tickets, how are we going to track them? Meow, the trio had already struggled to escape Vermilion Town, going back to buy tickets now was simply unrealistic. Ah. Let go. I have a way to get the tickets. I have a way. Upon hearing Meow Meow's question, Musashi was immediately caught in a dilemma. Yes. How could they board the ship without tickets? Musashi's dilemma wasn't the problem was that her hesitation only increased the pressure on her hand. At this moment, poor Kajiro was still being pinched by Musashi's hand, and this sudden increase in pressure almost made him cry out in pain. Helpless, Kajiro could only choose to sacrifice his own interests for the greater good. It's just a ticket, right? I can use my own savings to buy one, right? Even if I can't go to the ticket office in Kearney Town, I can buy one directly from the sailors when boarding. It'll just be a little more expensive than at the ticket office. It's better to suffer financially than physically, isn't it? Kajiro, why didn't you say so sooner? I'm so worried. At this moment, Kajiro finally realized that he shouldn't have spoken up. At least before, it was just a brief exchange, and Musashi would finish by the time she realized what was happening. But now, Musashi was clearly venting all her previous worry and disappointment on him. Of course, Ash and his friends were unaware of what was happening in the forest. At this moment, Ash had quickened his pace, eager to board the St. Anne as soon as possible and find an opponent to test Melodic's fighting strength. This was the first Pokémon he had ever evolved. Wow! This is the St. Anne? It's huge. Traveling at a brisk pace, Ash and Misty arrived at the dock in less than a morning and saw the enormous white cruise ship moored beside it. Pikachu, Pikachu! Startled awake by Ash's excited shout, Mu Chen looked up. Upon seeing it, Mu Chen's fatigue vanished instantly, replaced by renewed energy. Holy crap! A cruise ship? Holy crap! I never thought I'd have the chance to ride in something like this in my entire life. You see, in his previous life, Mu Chen was a complete homebody. He'd never even flown on a plane, let alone something as high-end as a cruise ship. Now, with the opportunity to board such a luxurious cruise ship, how could Mu Chen not be excited? Just imagine, sunshine, waves, deck, and swimsuit-clad beauties. Holy crap! This scene is too beautiful, I'm going to be intoxicated. Pikachu, are you excited too? Seriously, if it weren't for this trip with Ash, I'd never been on a cruise ship before. Seeing Pikachu regain its energy, Zaya Aksha was also flushed with excitement. After all, this was a luxury cruise ship. Before seeing it in person, they didn't realize how impressive it was, but now that they actually saw it, they realized how breathtaking it was to stand before it. Of course, Zaya Aksha didn't know the real reason for Mu Chen's excitement. Although this guy wasn't like he was when he first came into this world, unable to resist pouncing on pretty girls at first sight. But appreciating beautiful scenery is a common hobby for every man, right? As a true man, Mu Chen never denied having this kind of interest. Zaya Aksha, hurry up. I just heard this sailor say there's a Pokémon tournament after the St. Anne sets sail tonight. Of course, everyone has different interests. Zhi's focus is always on Pokémon battles. Pikachu, that idiot, he's a disgrace to us men. Hearing Zhi's shout, Mu Chen let out a deep sigh of disdain. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 The St. Anne Grand Prix. Ding ding, random mission. St. Anne Pokémon Tournament. Mission requirements, help Ash win the tournament. Mission reward, randomly increase 5 base stats. Failure penalty, Melodic's affinity -1, holy crap. It changed again? Originally, Mu Chen was quite looking forward to the system's random mission. After all, it was practically a freebie, just increasing his strength. But the problem was, why the hell did the failure penalty change again? Before, it was decreasing Misty's affinity, and now it's Melodic? Did the system discover his virginity and want to keep pushing? Damn it. If that's the case, it'll be troublesome. Recalling Melodic's fierce resistance the night before last, Mu Chen felt helpless. I have no interest in that kind of thing, one forced encounter is enough. What else is there to say? This mission, I must complete it. However, that little Melodic isn't weak either. With her around, why would I need to lift a finger? At this moment, Mu Chen was puzzled. If Melodic were participating, the match might be over without him even needing to show his strength. How could he explain such an easy win? However, the system completely ignored Mu Chen's question. All registered players, please proceed to Deck 3. The Pokémon tournament will be held here in half an hour. The so-called registration was naturally for the St. Anne Pokémon tournament. After all, this was an official tournament organized by the St. Anne. They couldn't just let anyone participate on short notice. At this moment, an afternoon had passed since Ash boarded the ship, and the St. Anne had officially set sail, entering the vast ocean. Let's go, Pikachu, let's battle. Hearing the tournament announcement, Ash, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately perked up. Pika Pika. Similarly, Mu Chen was also eager for this tournament. Base stats. It had been so long since his base stats had increased. In this world, base stats completely determine a Pokémon's future achievements and its ultimate potential. Only Pokémon with higher base stats become increasingly powerful as they grow. Therefore, Mu Chen never refuses base stat bonuses. He wondered what the upper limit of these base stats was, and if they could increase indefinitely. This thought lingered in Mu Chen's mind. He knew that if they could truly increase infinitely, he could probably one-shot legendary Pokémon with a single electric attack later on. Just imagining that beautiful scene, that's Pikachu for you. Of course, Ash was completely unaware of Mu Chen's thoughts. At that moment, he was already striding forward, quickly heading towards Deck 3. Pikachu, holy crap. Wait for me. Seeing Ash leave after calling out to him, Mu Chen was stunned. Damn it. Is this forgetting the old for the new? You treat me like this now that you have Melodic? Of course, that wasn't the reason Ash ignored Pikachu. After all, most of the time it was Misty who carried Pikachu, and Ash said he was already used to it. Hey. Ash, really, Pikachu, let's go. Sure enough, everything went as Ash had predicted. With Misty, Pikachu's personal babysitter, there was absolutely no need for him to worry. Ugh. This is so troublesome. The arena here is so small, I'm afraid Melodic can't even participate. I was just thinking of testing its strength. When Mu Chen and Misty arrived at Deck 3, they heard Ash's complaint. Pika Pika, holy crap. I knew this system wouldn't let me find a loophole. Hearing Ash's complaint, Mu Chen immediately understood. Damn it, Melodic wasn't suitable to participate here, so naturally he could only rely entirely on his own efforts. As for the stubborn Pidgeotto? Just kidding, Mu Chen said, adding that he'd never even considered that guy a threat, he was just cannon fodder. Alright. Let's start the groupings. Trainers whose names are called, please enter the arena. Just as Xiao was still complaining, a sailor acting as a guest host pulled out a megaphone. Pikachu. This time it's all up to you. I heard the champion's prize is a mysterious water drop, a valuable item that can boost the abilities of water-type Pokémon. We absolutely have to get it. Knowing complaining was useless, Xiao chose to face reality. Pikachu, what? A mysterious water drop? Boosts the abilities of water-type Pokémon? Holy crap! Why not boost electric type? Suddenly hearing that such a thing existed in this world, Mu Chen was excited. Although it was a pity it wasn't something that boosted electric type Pokémon, water type was better than nothing. At least that melodic little brat could use it, right? Moreover, Mu Chen was very clear that if there were items that could boost water type Pokémon, then there must be items that could boost electric type Pokémon. Mu Chen never refused to use external means to enhance his abilities. He was joking, this was called equipment. With equipment, he'd feel much more confident in battle, wouldn't he? Musashi. Can you handle this competition? I overheard someone talking about how the champion gets a mystic drop. On the other side of the deck, Team Rocket was also discussing the Pokémon tournament. Don't worry. James, lend me your coughing, and Meowth, you can fill in too. I'll choose my strategy based on the opponent's Pokémon. During boarding, the sailors asked each trainer if they wanted to participate in the St. Anne's tournament. Musashi, quite unexpectedly, agreed. Now, she represented Team Rocket. Don't worry, Musashi, I'll tear all my opponents to shreds this time. Meow, mystic drops were incredibly valuable. For the trio, who were short on funds, such a precious item was absolutely not to be missed. Great. Meow, don't worry, if we ever encounter that wretched brat and that wretched yellow rat, I'll definitely get you into the fight and tear that wretched thing to shreds. Just thinking about how that yellow rat always ruined his plans made Musashi's anger surge. Chapter 56 Mu Chen's Mental Power. Go Ash. Go Pikachu. Finally, amidst Misty's cheers, Ash stepped onto his designated arena. It's just a little brother? Looks like he's got good luck. Ash had barely entered the arena when a charming voice came from the opposite side. Pika, attracted by the voice, Mu Chen withdrew his gaze from his surroundings. After all, there were too many beautiful women on this ship. Mu Chen felt a little dizzy. But why does that voice make me so aroused? Drawn by the voice, Mu Chen focused his attention on Ash's opponent. Standing opposite Ash was a mature woman in her early 20s, dressed in a glamorous manner. Looking at the woman in the sundress, her shoulders and legs completely exposed before him, Mu Chen was excited. Holy crap! This one's not bad. Good luck? We'll only know after the battle. Go, Pidgeotto, I choose you, because the St. Anne's tournament requires each participating trainer to send 2 Pokémon. Ash chose Pidgeotto first. As for why he didn't send Pikachu, it was simply because Ash noticed Pikachu had once again gone into a daze. Considering Pikachu's previous exhaustion, Ash decided to let it rest. A mere glamorous woman, Pidgeotto is enough to defeat her. Pidgeotto? Is this your Pokémon? Well then, I won't hold back. Spearow, let it see what the King of the Skies is. Seeing that Ash's Pokémon was just Pidgeotto, the glamorous woman was even more certain of her victory. Although Spearow was also an unevolved Pokémon, as a flying type, its fighting spirit far surpassed Pidgeotto's. After a clear chirp, a bird-like Pokémon with its neck feathers seemingly bursting open appeared before the glamorous woman. You have the advantage in this battle. Charge, Pidgeotto, use quick attack. Ash's assessment of the battle situation was entirely based on the size of the two. Pidgeotto was at least a meter long, while this Spearow was more than half the size of Pidgeotto. How could it possibly be its match? Beep, quick attack was Pidgeotto's most proficient move. After Ash's words fell, Pidgeotto transformed into a bolt of lightning and pounced on Spearow. Too naive? Spearow, use agility to dodge its attack. Then, use U-turn to toy with your opponent. The glamorous woman, confident of her victory, naturally had some skill. Facing Ash's aggressive attack, the glamorous woman remained completely unfazed. Pikachu, Mu Chen had absolutely no interest in the two weaklings pecking at each other. At this moment, Mu Chen's gaze was completely fixed on the glamorous woman. Under his intense gaze, the dazzling woman remained oblivious. After all, who would pay attention to the gaze of a Pokémon? However, the glamorous woman was unaware that Mu Chen had completely studied her. Although she was covered by clothing, it was utterly useless in front of Mu Chen, this seasoned veteran. Having watched countless films over the years, Mu Chen had reached the pinnacle of seeing the sensors but not the sensors in his mind. Of course, while Mu Chen was oblivious, everyone else was very interested in this aerial battle. Two bird-like Pokémon darted and weaved through the air, attacking each other relentlessly with their sharp beaks and claws. The arena was now covered in feathers shed by the two bird-like Pokémon. The sky echoed with the cries of the two Pokémon, sometimes loud, sometimes mournful. Beep! Finally, after the two Pokémon had been locked in combat for a while, Pidgey let out a piercing cry. Pikachu, what the hell? Are you a piece of trash? It's only been a short while, and you're already done for? I haven't even had enough of watching yet. Hearing Pidgeotto's miserable cry, Mu Chen knew that this guy was bound to lose again. Damn it. Couldn't it have fought a little longer? I'd only just managed to visualize this lady's outline with my mental power. But Alice, Pidgeotto wasn't cooperating and failed to fulfill Mu Chen's wish. Oh ho ho little brother, it seems your Pidgeotto is finished. Next, what Pokemon will you send out? Is it that silly Pikachu on your shoulder? Seeing her Spearow defeat Pidgeotto with a crazy attack, the glamorous woman let out a smug sneer. Damn it. Pidgeotto, you've worked hard. I choose you, Pikachu, let's fight. Milotic was too large to fight in this kind of arena, so Ash's only choice was Pikachu. Although Pikachu didn't seem to be in the best condition, Ash believed that final victory would belong to him and to Pikachu. Ever since Ash got Pikachu, it had never disappointed him in Pokemon battles. In Ash's mind, Pikachu was invincible. Pikachu, useless thing. Leaving behind a complaint about Pidgeotto, Mu Chen jumped off Ash's shoulder. Having lost the chance to continue watching, Mu Chen decided to unleash all his anger on this despicable Spearow. What the hell? No consideration for me at all. Why did you take down that piece of trash so quickly? How many feathers did you lose? Couldn't you lose more? Consider it a good way to lose weight. Spearow, use Whirlwind. Pikachu, after all, was an electric-type Pokemon that countered Spearow. Although the glamorous woman appeared indifferent, she was still a little nervous. Therefore, the command she gave to Spearow was to use Whirlwind. The Whirlwind skill, while lacking offensive power, creates a gust of wind that can blow opponents away. The alluring woman thought that even if it couldn't blow Pikachu away, just making it unsteady would create an opportunity, right? However, she didn't know that this whirlwind actually created an opportunity for Mu Chen. You see, Mu Chen had been agonizing for a long time about what color this beautiful young lady was. But Alice, even the strongest willpower is just wishful thinking. But, seeing the whirlwind created by the Spearow, Mu Chen's eyes lit up, an opportunity. Pika Pika, without hesitation, he used high-speed movement and dashed towards the alluring woman. Whirlwind. Come on stronger. Chapter 57 The Legendary Guerrilla Warfare. Damn it. Spearow, stop using Whirlwind. A gust of wind swept in, leaving the scantily clad, alluring woman in a sorry state. Despite her desperate attempts to resist the sudden gust, Mu Chen, focused on the wind, discovered what he was looking for. Black. Knowing everything he wanted to know, Mu Chen felt no regret. Pikachu, dude, while I'm very grateful for your help, you can go get your lunchbox now. With a cry, the electricity that had been surging on Mu Chen's cheeks instantly converged, and he shot towards the Spearow in the sky, which was waiting for its trainer's next command. Gee, as a flying-type Pokémon, and an unevolved one at that, how could it possibly withstand Mu Chen's thunderbolt? With just this one attack, the Spearow screamed and fell onto the deck. Spearow, come back. The rest is up to you, Sandslash. Spearow suffered a crushing defeat, and in her rage, the glamorous woman summoned her main Pokémon, Sandslash. As a ground-type Pokémon, Sandslash was incredibly effective against Pikachu. This was why the glamorous woman was so confident of victory after seeing Pikachu perched on Ash's shoulder. Kyuga, a loud cry rang out, and a 1-meter-tall Sandslash, its two front paws gleaming with a cold light, appeared before the glamorous woman. So what if it's Sandslash? Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Ash wasn't unaware that Sandslash was a ground type. However, Due to long-standing battle habits, Ash had developed a conditioned reflex. Therefore, upon seeing Sandslash, Ash instinctively issued the attack command. Pika, holy crap. I almost fell for it. Similarly, because of the immense power of Thunderbolt, Mu Chen was also used to using this move to overwhelm his opponents. Upon hearing Ash's command, Mu Chen instinctively began to generate electricity on his cheeks. But then, Mu Chen realized what was happening. Damn it, if you want to embarrass yourself, do it yourself. I'm not playing along. He was joking, of course. What good is an electric-type move against a ground-type Pokémon, besides creating a huge firework? Thinking of Sandslash's nonchalant attitude after he used Thunderbolt, and the glamorous woman's mocking tone, countless black lines appeared on Mu Chen's forehead. Ha ha ha. Your command skills are truly astonishing. Sandslash, attack. Use slash. Even though Mu Chen hadn't used Thunderbolt, the glamorous woman still let out her mocking laugh. Using an electric-type move against a ground-type Pokémon? This trainer has absolutely no common sense. Kyuga, receiving the trainer's command, Sandslash immediately charged at Mu Chen. Its pair of sharp front claws gleamed with a cold light, as if ready to deliver a fatal blow to its enemy at any moment. Pikachu, this time, Mu Chen completely ignored Ash's reaction. Facing the aggressive Sandslash, Mu Chen, unable to use electric-type moves, had no intention of engaging in a direct confrontation. Since he had given up on a direct confrontation, the choice left for Mu Chen was very simple. Agility activated, quick attack launched, and off he went. With the support of these two high-speed moves, Mu Chen instantly transformed into Yellow Lightning Bolt, disappearing from his spot in an instant. Kyuga, the sudden disappearance of its target clearly left Sandslash's not-so-bright brain unable to react. Staring at its missed attack with its front claws, Sandslash was completely bewildered. What's going on? When did I become so powerful? I was able to send that yellow rat flying in one go? But the problem is, why didn't I feel any impact? Sandslash. Watch out behind you. Sandslash couldn't see its opponent, but that didn't mean the alluring woman, the trainer, couldn't. Although she couldn't accurately track the Pikachu that had transformed into lightning, she could still determine its approximate location. When she saw the yellow lightning bolt heading towards Sandslash's back, she immediately shouted a warning. However, although the alluring woman's warning was quick enough, Sandslash's reaction wasn't as fast. Bang! Just as Sandslash had turned halfway around, trying to check behind it, Mu Chen had already slammed into it. Pikachu, Kyuga, two screams rang out simultaneously. It wasn't surprising that Sandslash screamed. After all, it was the one being attacked. Although the damage from quick attack wasn't high, after Mu Chen circled the arena and used a sufficient running start to build up his power, its force was still considerable. As for Mu Chen's scream? Holy crap! That hurt like hell. You see, Sandslash's back is covered in sharp barbs. Although Mu Chen tried his best to avoid vital areas, he was still scratched by the barbs. Waves of pain washed over him, and Mu Chen hopped around on one leg like the Cerulean sisters performing a water ballet. Damn yellow-skinned rat. Sandslash, get up, counterattack. Seeing Sandslash, despite its type advantage, being knocked to the ground by a mere Pikachu, the glamorous woman was completely enraged. Keep in mind, there were dozens of people watching around them. Pikachu. Keep using quick attack, don't let it get up. This time, Ash finally gave the correct command. Reminded by Ash, Mu Chen ignored his scratched right leg and launched another quick attack at Sandslash. Pika, damn it, it even has a built-in defense system? You have barbs on your back, I'll see if you have any on your stomach. Stimulated by the stinging pain in his thigh, Mu Chen also entered a berserk state. Of course, even in a berserk state, Mu Chen wouldn't lose his rationality. This guy's back is too tough, I can't mess with him. But, where's your stomach? This time I'll ram your stomach, let's see how you play defense and counterattack. Bang! Kyuga, under Mu Chen's impact, Sandslash, which had just gotten up, let out another miserable cry. Although it has an attribute that is super effective against Pikachu. Although it has great strength. But unfortunately, under Mu Chen's hit-and-run guerrilla tactics, seizing the opportunity to ram, all Sandslash can do is keep howling. Chapter 58 The figure that kept moving around. Hooray! Pikachu, you're amazing. Finally, amidst Ash's cheers, the glamorous woman, filled with endless resentment, retrieved the Sandslash that had been completely knocked unconscious. Pika Pika. Similarly, Mu Chen was also celebrating this hard-fought victory. However, Mu Chen didn't have Ash's boundless energy at this moment. Damn it. I'm totally at a loss. This was the only thought in Mu Chen's mind at this moment. You see, this system mission required Mu Chen to help Ash win the championship. The first match was this difficult, who knows what will happen later? In Mu Chen's opinion, the difficulty of this mission should at least be 10, or even 15 or 20 points of base stats randomly added. This is not a mission that only adds 5 points of base stats. But Alice, the mission has already been accepted, and the reward is absolutely unchangeable. Even the hateful penalty for failure is unacceptable to Mu Chen. I spent countless nights cultivating the bond, and even spent half the night and exhausted myself to defeat Melodic. If his favorability rating drops because of this, wouldn't he be devastated? Due to the large number of participants, winners are requested to return to the rest area now. We will notify you when the matches resume. Just as Ozzy picked up the exhausted Mu Chen, preparing to go find Aksha to watch others' matches, the Sailor brand megaphone, acting as the guest host, blared again. Clearly, this was a rule set by the organizers to ensure fairness. After all, if you win and stay to watch others' matches, you'd obviously gain prior knowledge of your opponents. That's unfair. Therefore, the organizers' solution was to persuade all the winners to leave after Ozzy's matches in the other arenas were decided. Sending them all back to their rest areas would at least greatly reduce the possibility of participants revealing their strength. Ugh. So annoying. I wanted to watch the matches. Hearing the organizers' request, Ozzy's initial enthusiasm immediately plummeted. No watching the matches? What fun was there in that? Alright, Ash, why don't you take Pikachu back and rest? And Pidgeotto needs treatment too. On the St. N, the crew has a special Pokemon recovery machine. While not as advanced as the Pokemon Center, it's better than nothing. Of course, it's precisely because of the Pokemon recovery machine that this competition could be held. Otherwise, after the final rounds, with all the Pokemon injured, would the trainers be expected to engage in hand-to-hand combat? Okay, I know. Let's go, Pikachu, let's go back and rest. Ash understood Aksha's reasoning perfectly well. He was just frustrated that he couldn't continue watching other people's matches. Pika, what? Go back? Holy crap. Go back yourself, I'm not going back. Are you kidding me? What's so great about the lounge? Am I supposed to go back and face the wall with this idiot? With so many beautiful ladies on deck, why would I go with an idiot? Without the slightest hesitation, Mu Chen leaped away, completely abandoning Ash and throwing himself into Misty's arms. Looks like Pikachu doesn't want to go back with you, Ash. You go back by yourself. I'll take care of Pikachu. This rule set by the organizers applies to trainers, but absolutely not to Pokemon. After all, who would expect a Pokemon to spy on its opponent? Pikachu, having successfully shaken off Ash, Mu Chen became excited again. This is life. Although there weren't many swimsuit-clad ladies present since everyone had just boarded the ship, Mu Chen wasn't dissatisfied at all. You see, the weather in the Kanto region is extremely hot at this time of year. Hot, meaning everyone's clothing will be quite revealing. And that's what Mu Chen was most concerned about. Those wearing hot pants like Misty are relatively few, most of the ladies on the deck are wearing skirts. It was precisely because he noticed this that Mu Chen was so excited. Looks like I'm just a Pikachu a few dozen centimeters long right now, right? If a Pikachu were to dart around on this deck, it probably wouldn't attract anyone's attention, right? Thinking this through, Mu Chen became increasingly certain of the possibility of carrying out his plan. Damn it, this is a rare opportunity. If I miss it, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Finally, after a round of internal struggle, Mu Chen broke free from Aksha's embrace and ran towards the densely populated area. Pikachu? What are you doing? Aksha was naturally shocked by Pikachu's sudden departure. But how could Aksha be as agile as Pikachu on this deck with hundreds of people? In just a few breaths, Pikachu completely disappeared from Aksha's sight. Meanwhile, Mu Chen had already begun his long-planned action. Wow! This girl's legs are so white. Holy crap! This girl's legs are purple. I can't take it anymore. I'm busy, constantly flitting about and observing. Mu Chen was completely caught in a happy dilemma. However, Mu Chen didn't notice that, due to the intense stimulation, His nose was once again inconsolably trickling with bright red liquid. While the constantly flitting Pikachu wouldn't attract attention, how could this trail of bright red blood not catch the sailor's eye? Madam, is there something wrong with your Pokémon? If it's unwell, we have specialized medical equipment here. Also, please keep a close eye on your Pokémon. There are too many people on deck, and it wouldn't be good if it got hurt. Following the trail of blood, Mu Chen was finally discovered by the sailors. Of course, because of Mu Chen's adorable appearance, no one suspected what he was doing. After retrieving Mu Chen, the sailors found Xiaoxia and solemnly returned the Pokémon to her. Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry for the trouble. Taking Pikachu, Xiaoxia's pretty face instantly flushed red. The sailors might not know, but how could Xiaoxia not know? Xiaoxia knew Pikachu's nature all too well. You little rascal. If you dare to act like this again, I'll never hold you again. Whether it was a complaint or jealousy, Xiaoxia pinched Mu Chen in her arms as she spoke. Pikachu, damn it. If I hadn't been so focused, how could I have been caught by those wretched sailors? At this moment, Mu Chen felt indignant and resentful. Chapter 59 The Final. Pikachu, well done, good job, Pikachu, use Thunderbolt, awesome. Pikachu, we won again. Amidst Ash's continuous cheers, Mu Chen easily crushed the next few opponents. After all, those with ground-type Pokémon are still a minority. And for Mu Chen, as long as you're not immune to electric-type Pokémon, there's no question, he'll shock you. Because Misty discovered his previous actions, Mu Chen completely lost this great pleasure. Therefore, Mu Chen could only channel his grief and anger into electricity, fiercely venting it on his opponents. Now, under Mu Chen's powerful attack, Ash is about to step onto the final stage. In the end, this Pokémon tournament on the St. Anne's is just a small competition. Although there are many trainers participating, there are really no truly powerful ones. It is precisely because of this that Mu Chen realized that the system task given was quite reasonable. The first match was just an accident. Pika, come on. Come on. It's the last match. Hurry up and finish this, then I can finally be free. You see, the St. Anne's ship doesn't just have this dedicated third deck for Pokémon competitions. On the other decks, first and second, there are all sorts of pool parties and such. Because of the competition, Mu Chen has been stuck going back and forth with that idiot Ash. Now, finally, it's the last match. If he wins this match, Mu Chen will naturally have free time. HMPH. Misty. You little brat, you think you can control me? Because of the previous incident, Misty has been very strict with Mu Chen these past few days. This has caused Mu Chen to completely lose his fun. Now, the competition is about to end, and Mu Chen is about to usher in a happy new life. However, what Mu Chen doesn't know is that Misty has long been prepared for his little schemes. Misty knows Pikachu's nature very well. But because of the bond between her and Pikachu, Misty can't bring herself to be angry with it. Even when Pikachu was observing the other girls, Xiaoxia felt a pang of jealousy. Driven by this possessiveness, Xiaoxia's watchful eye on Pikachu was absolutely SSS level strict. You little brat. If you really want to take advantage, then come at me. Of course, Xiaoxia herself couldn't understand the reason for this girlish psychology. Ladies and gentlemen, trainers from all over. Next, let's cheer for our two finalists. They are Ash from Pallet Town, and the beautiful Jessie, through the Sailor brand megaphone, which served as the guest host. The Pokémon tournament hosted by the St. Anne finally reached its final round. Ash, unsurprisingly, made it to the finals. However, what was unexpected was that Ash's opponent was none other than Jessie from Team Rocket. Pika, seeing Jessie standing opposite Ash, Mu Chen was completely stunned. What the hell is going on? Did they escape in Vermilion Town? Damn it. What's going on? They've even come after the ship? Although Mu Chen was initially very interested in Musashi, after she tried to hurt Xiaoxia, he had already categorized them as enemies. Although Xiaoxia has been acting strangely lately, always interfering with Mu Chen's affairs, she is still the most important person in his heart. You see, since Mu Chen came into this world, besides Ash, who he couldn't get rid of, Xiaoxia has been the one who has stayed by his side the longest. Although Mu Chen is often a bit of a lecher, he is also a very sentimental person. His feelings for Xiaoxia are very deep. He absolutely cannot forgive anyone who dares to hurt her. Although his identity dictates that he can only target melodic, being able to stay by Xiaoxia's side, occasionally taking advantage of this little girl, and always protecting her is enough for Mu Chen. Now, seeing his enemy appear before him, Mu Chen is naturally furious. Damn it! Team Rocket! How did you get here? Similarly, Mu Chen wasn't the only one furious upon seeing Musashi. Xiaoxia was also Ash's companion. Seeing Team Rocket hurting him and Xiaoxia, Ash's eyes blazed with fury, as if he were about to rush at Jessie for a close-quarters fight. Hey! Kid, you've mistaken me for someone else. I'm an adventurer from the Johto region. What Team Rocket? I've never heard of them. Team Rocket was naturally a clandestine entity in the league, and Jessie wasn't foolish enough to admit it directly. Anyway, no one except this kid knew about Team Rocket's identity, so she wasn't afraid of being exposed. After all, Team Rocket members all had a false identity that allowed them to walk in the light. With this false identity, Jessie and the others were absolutely fearless. It seems there's been some misunderstanding between the two contestants. Therefore, I now declare the first St. Anne's Grand Prix finals officially open. When the sailor heard Ash say that Jessie was a member of Team Rocket, he was indeed surprised. But then, seeing Jessie's calm reply, he remembered the identity registration this beautiful woman had made when she boarded the ship. With official registration from the Chundu League, the sailor believed Jessie's lie. It seemed the boy had truly mistaken her for someone else. For this reason, without much thought, the sailor immediately announced the start of the match. No kidding, Team Rocket had a terrible reputation in the Kanto region. If this boy's misunderstanding caused any panic, he couldn't bear the captain's wrath. Damn it! Jessie, I won't let you get away with this. Let's fight, Pikachu. Hearing the sailor's words, Ash knew there was no point in arguing further. The only way to deal with Team Rocket was to defeat them. HMPH. Arrogant brat, you think you can defeat me? You're far from it. Go, Meowth. This yellow-skinned rat is yours. Jessie was also filled with resentment towards Pikachu. If it weren't for this wretched yellow-skinned rat always ruining her plans, why would she have to participate in this unlucky match? In Musashi's mind, if it weren't for Pikachu's destruction, she would have already achieved her goal, and would be enjoying life on the beach with a lot of jewels. Chapter 60 The System Task That Appeared Suddenly. Little mouse, watch how I, Meowth, teach you a lesson. Meow. Arriving at the arena, Meowth arrogantly stared at Pikachu opposite it, declaring its victory. In previous battles, Pikachu had consistently avoided it. Now, facing it head-on, Meowth wanted to see how it would dodge. Pikachu, screw you. You stupid cat think you can beat me? Seeing Meowth's arrogance, Mu Chen's anger flared even more fiercely. Meowth, charge. Use Frenzied Scratch. Meowth's most proficient skill was Frenzied Scratch. Throughout the previous matches, Musashi had mostly relied on Meowth's flurry of scratches to defeat her opponents. Now, facing the Pikachu she so deeply hated, Musashi naturally hoped Meowth could replicate that miracle and tear this wretched yellow mouse to shreds. Little mouse, take this, Meow. Hearing Musashi's command, Meowth knew this wasn't the time for further words. As he spoke, his body moved, hurtling towards Pikachu. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. This time, Ash's command was flawless. Pikachu, facing Team Rocket, whom he deeply hated, Mu Chen would show no mercy. The moment Ash finished speaking, Mu Chen's cheeks were filled with electricity. Immediately, a 3-finger-thick current shot out from his cheeks, propelling him towards Meowth. Meow? How is this possible? Mu Chen had never used Thunderbolt against Team Rocket since learning it. He hadn't been able to use it in the previous battle due to exhaustion. Similarly, thanks to the protective measures taken by the organizers of the St. Anne's cruise ship, Team Rocket hadn't known that this Pikachu could use such a powerful move as Thunderbolt. Now, seeing their old rival, Meowth had initially thought Pikachu would at most deliver an electric shock. Unexpectedly, Meowth, bracing itself for an electric shock, was met with a Thunderbolt. The difference was too great, Meowth couldn't handle it. But Alice, Meowth had already charged, and at such close range, dodging was impossible. Sizzle, a current flashed, and Meowth was struck by the Thunderbolt without a doubt. Damn it! You brat! Seeing Meowth lying on the ground convulsing after being struck by Pikachu's Thunderbolt, Jessie was stunned. What the hell? What's going on? How did Pikachu suddenly become so powerful? Wasn't this little thing only capable of sneaky ambushes? Wasn't this little thing only capable of using harmless moves like electric shocks? Great job, Pikachu. Jessie, aren't you going to admit defeat? Ash didn't care what Jessie thought. Seeing Pikachu defeat Team Rocket, whom he deeply hated, with a single thunderbolt, Ash was naturally overjoyed. Give up? How could I possibly give up? Go, Arbok, defeat this yellow-skinned rat. Meowth's defeat was seen as an accident by Jessie. However, such an accident wouldn't happen a second time. For that precious mysterious drop of water, Jessie wouldn't give up easily. Chaba, as an old rival, Arbok was no stranger to Pikachu. Pikachu, Chaba my ass, I'll shock you. This time, Mu Chen didn't even wait for Ash's command before unleashing Thunderbolt again. Although the power of this quick-fire Thunderbolt was much less than that of a charged one, it was sudden. Zzzzzzz, a current flashed, and the unprepared Arbok was hit. Chaba, an electric shock could make Arbok breakdance, let alone the more powerful Thunderbolt. With one Thunderbolt, Arbok once again performed its unique snake-like breakdance. Damn it! You ambushed me. Seeing her Arbok suffer a crushing defeat after only one roar, Jessie was devastated. What was going on? Why wasn't this Pikachu obeying its trainer's commands? Aren't Pokemon battles supposed to wait for the trainer's command before attacking? Even Meowth, a Pokemon with extremely high intelligence, follows this rule. But this yellow-skinned mouse, it actually ambushed her? Jessie, you lost? Ash was already used to this kind of situation. At this moment, he didn't even care so much about winning the championship. Defeating Team Rocket was enough. Damn brat, you just wait. The rules of the competition were that each person had 2 Pokemon, and with Arbok's breakdancing going on and on, Jessie naturally knew that the championship was out of her reach. However, as a villain, Jessie wouldn't give up so easily. HMPH. If she couldn't get it through normal means, she'd steal it. Not only would she steal the mystic water, but she'd also steal that little girl's Starmie. As for this yellow-skinned rat, although its strength caught Jessie's attention, Jessie harbored deep hatred for it and had no intention of catching it. Let's cheer for the winner, Ash. The finals featured 2 instant kills, clearly indicating the host, Sailor, was unprepared. However, the outcome was decided, and Sailor could only declare Ash the victor. Ha ha ha. That's awesome. Misty, Pikachu is getting stronger and stronger. Having won the championship, Ash naturally wanted to boast to Misty. Go collect your prize. A Mystic Drop. Mystic Drops are something every Water-type Pokemon trainer dreams of. If Ash hadn't participated, Misty would have even tried to get one herself. Seeing Ash forget to collect his prize, Misty urged him on. However, the 2 excited individuals didn't notice that Pikachu, perched on Ash's shoulder, wore a serious expression. Beep beep, random mission activated. Captain St. Anne's Conspiracy. Protect Ash and Misty as they escape the St. Anne. Mission reward, unknown. Failure penalty, unknown. This was the reason for Mu Chen's solemn expression. After issuing the reward this time, the system directly issued another new mission. If it were just an ordinary mission, Mu Chen wouldn't care too much. But this time, both the reward and the penalty for failure were completely unknown. This forced Mu Chen to think more deeply. What exactly is Captain St. Anne's conspiracy? What's the deal with this suddenly appearing mission? Mu Chen knew that this suddenly appearing mission was probably the biggest challenge he had ever faced since arriving in this world. Chapter 61 The Captain's Conspiracy. Really? The winner is a young trainer? What about his Pokemon? Pikachu? Just average. It knows Thunderbolt? That's not bad. This event wasn't a complete waste. Bring that kid to me. In the captain's cabin, a middle-aged man in a navy coat was receiving a report from a sailor. This man was Captain Cook of the St. Anne. Their purpose in holding the Pokemon contest was to lure traveling trainers into participating, ultimately allowing them to plunder the best Pokemon from the winner. You see, there exists a dark side to this world, the black market. A superior Pokemon can fetch an extremely high price on the black market, its value even exceeding the St. Anne's earnings from a normal voyage. Under such temptation, the St. Anne's captain naturally chose this method for quick money. Although this year's champion Pokemon was merely a very cheap Pikachu, the captain was immediately tempted when he heard that this Pikachu knew Thunderbolt. A Pikachu with 100,000 votes is incredibly sought after on the black market. Now, the captain's plan is to lure champion Ash here and steal his Pikachu. As for Ash himself, he can just be thrown into the ocean. With so many people on board, who'll notice the trainer is missing? Team Rocket isn't the only one involved in shady dealings in this world. Of course, the captain of the St. Anne's target isn't just Ash's Pikachu. After all, setting up such a grand scheme only to gain a Pikachu isn't a worthwhile deal. Therefore, Jesse's Meowth is also the captain's target. A talking Meowth is invaluable. As for Jesse and the others' identities, even if they're registered as trainers from the Johto region, or even if she really is a Team Rocket member as Ash claimed, so what? Accidents are common on the vast ocean. Even Team Rocket can't control everything. It was this confidence that emboldened Captain St. Anne to commit such a double cross. Of course, neither Ash, the victor, nor Musashi, who was preparing to receive the so-called consolation prize, knew anything of this. Kajiro, you wait here for us. I'll take Meowth to collect the prize. This competition is so thoughtful, even the runner-up gets a reward. The champion is a drop of heart, so the runner-up shouldn't be too far off, right? At this moment, Musashi was filled with anticipation for the so-called reward. They had already spent all their funds, and even the ship tickets were bought with Kajiro's savings. Hearing that the runner-up would also receive a reward, how could Musashi not be excited? Don't worry, Musashi, I'll wait for you here. Similarly, Kajiro was also full of anticipation for the reward. With this reward, he wouldn't have to continue spending his savings, right? After running away from home, Kajiro hadn't taken much of his savings with him. Once a noble young master, Kajiro had no concept of money. Now, after joining Team Rocket and forming a partnership with Jesse, he realizes how lovely money can be. Just as Jesse was preparing to leave, Ash was also getting ready. Haha, Misty, I'll definitely show you the prize when I get it back. Ash could tell Misty was eager for the heart drop, so he made a thoughtful promise. Alright. Hurry up and go. Seeing Ash still dawdling, Misty became impatient. Couldn't I see the heart drop first? She'd only heard rumors about it, never actually seen one. Pikachu, similarly, Mu Chen urged Ash on. Damn it, hurry up and go. I'm waiting to complete the mission. Others might not know, but Mu Chen, through the system notification, certainly did. This prize-collecting trip wouldn't be smooth sailing. But the mission had already been issued, and Mu Chen could only adjust his mindset and deal with it. Moreover, this time the rewards are all unknown. Mu Chen was filled with anticipation. What was this unknown nonsense? You see, regardless of the difficulty or reward of previous missions, they always gave a definite target. But this time, it was all completely unknown. This immediately piqued Mu Chen's interest. Maybe I could use this mission to achieve a meteoric rise? Become incredibly powerful? Although he could easily crush most opponents at the moment, Mu Chen knew he was still in the beginner's village stage. Even his strongest opponent, Lieutenant Surge, hadn't used his full strength, otherwise, with his current abilities, he would have been easy prey. Considering the powerful crises he might face in the future, Mu Chen was filled with an urgent hope for a meteoric rise. Haha. Pikachu, you can't wait either, can you? Too bad, this reward isn't for you. Clearly, Ash had misunderstood Mu Chen once again. Pikachu, I don't want it. That water drop thing is enough for my melodic. Besides, whether I even have it now is another matter entirely. Hello. Sailor, I'm Ash from Pallet Town, the champion of this tournament. Finally, Ash, urged on by Misty and Mu Chen, set off. Hello, Ash, please follow me, the captain is waiting for you. Seeing Ash fall for the trap, a subtle smile appeared on Sailor's lips. However, a small accident occurred in the captain's foolproof plan. Damn it. Team Rocket. What are you doing here? Isn't the prize for the champion? Just as Ash was about to step into the captain's cabin, he saw Jesse coming from another direction. Enemies meeting are bound to be furious. Especially since he, Ash, is the champion. What is Team Rocket up to? Idiot. I don't have time for you right now. Who told you only the champion gets a prize? Desperate for money, and with a prize within reach, Musashi had no time for Ash. Alright, you two, stop arguing. The captain is waiting for you. If you have any personal grudges, you can settle them privately later. Seriously? The trap is set up. If you two protagonists don't go in, the captain and the others will have waited in vain. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62 The Despicable Captain. What are you doing? Whoa. Don't grab me, let go. Help, Jessie. Meow, you bastard. Get your filthy hands off me. Ash and Jessie were ambushed the moment they entered the captain's cabin. Meowth, completely unprepared, was immediately caught in a fishing net by the sailors. Ash was also helplessly subdued by a sailor. Even the fiercest Jessie only managed to get more of her way with the sailors. Now, the only one left uncaptured was Mu Chen. Of course, this wasn't because Mu Chen reacted quickly and dodged the net, but because he had been preparing for a long time. The mission had already given a hint. The captain and his men harbored ill intentions, making the captain's cabin the most dangerous place. Because they couldn't communicate, Mu Chen couldn't warn Ash. Of course, Mu Chen knew this too. Given Ash's inexplicably confident state, any warning would be practically useless. Therefore, all Mu Chen could do was remain extremely vigilant, guarding against any sudden attacks. Now, everything Mu Chen had done had finally paid off. Damn it. Quick, summon a Pokémon. We can't let that Pikachu escape. You see, the captain's purpose in holding this St. Anne's tournament was to capture valuable Pokémon. He had indeed caught a talking Meowth, but the captain had no intention of letting go of this Pikachu that could use Thunderbolt. This was money. Pika, trying to catch me? You're too naive. Although there were 4 or 5 burly men in the captain's cabin, and several sailors' Pokémon they had summoned, such as Machop, Mankey, and Poliwag, they couldn't even catch a glimpse of Mu Chen's shadow after he used agility. How could they possibly capture him? Well done, Pikachu. Let's counterattack. Use Thunderbolt. Seeing Pikachu toying with his sailors, Ash, who was already overwhelmed, was excited. Ha ha ha. With Pikachu around, no danger can stop me. Go, yellow-skinned mouse. Go, meow, go, Pikachu. Electrocute them. If you can save me, I'll never kick you again. Seeing Pikachu start to fight back, the captured Meowth and Jessie became excited. As beings from the dark world, they understood the dangers of this world better than Ash. If it weren't for Pikachu this time, Meowth would probably have been sold into the black market. As for Jessie? Surrounded by so many muscular guys, her fate would probably be even more miserable. You know, when she was resisting just now, Jessie had been taken advantage of by these muscular guys quite a bit. It was for this reason that Jessie and the others didn't care about their original hostility. As long as they could be rescued, they would just stop bothering Pikachu in the future. Pikachu, the mission requirement was to protect Ash from escaping the St. Anne, so Mu Chen certainly wouldn't keep doing this kind of extreme parkour. Although these muscular guys couldn't catch it, they couldn't save Ash, who was pinned to the side either, right? Therefore, Mu Chen didn't hesitate at all in response to Ash's order this time. Thunderbolt, here we go. ZZZZT, a bolt of electricity flashed, and a Machop that had chased after Mu Chen unfortunately became cannon fodder under the Thunderbolt. Although this guy's body was sturdy enough, under the shock of the Thunderbolt, he was still dancing a breakdance with a gray-black face. Damn it. Damn brat, tell your yellow-skinned rat to stop right now. Otherwise, your partner's life will be in danger. Seeing that the sailors couldn't defeat Pikachu with their numerical advantage in this chaotic environment, the captain was furious. You have to know, the place where they are fighting now is his own captain's cabin. In the captain's cabin, there are many of his treasures. Now, seeing his precious collections being overturned and damaged one after another, the captain felt his heart was bleeding. In his anger, the captain could only use the backup plan. Pika, is this an idiot? Did he realize we're not on the same side as Team Rocket? Hearing the captain's reprimand, Mu Chen was immediately worried about the guy's intelligence. With that kind of intelligence, how the hell did he become captain? Are their brains filled with muscles or something? Teammates? These wicked Team Rocket members aren't my teammates. Similarly, hearing the captain's reprimand, Xiozhi looked equally confused. When did I become teammates with these Team Rocket members? No. We're teammates. You can't abandon us. Meow, kid, don't talk nonsense. Didn't you beg me to let you sleep with me last night? What, are you going to turn your back on me? In this moment of crisis, Jessie and Meowth cooperated perfectly. However, in the captain's eyes, their performance was nothing short of a clumsy joke. You idiots. The companions I'm talking about are Misty and James. Don't forget, You registered when you boarded. Seeing yet another unlucky manky knocked to the ground by electric shock in such a short time, the captain quickly revealed his trump card. To guard against any unexpected situations, the captain hadn't just ambushed Ash and Jessie in the captain's cabin. At the same time, Misty and James in the lounge were also attacked by the sailors. After all, they were doing something shady. Other tourists wouldn't care if a few people suddenly disappeared from the ship, but how could their companions who boarded with them not care? It was for this reason that the captain and the sailors planned to throw Misty and James into the sea to feed the sharks. Only in this way could they sell these two relatively valuable Pokémon on the black market with peace of mind and make a hefty profit. Pikachu, holy crap. Hearing the captain's words, Mu Chen was immediately enraged. I've seen despicable people, but never one this despicable. Damn it. Mu Chen knew that if Xiaoxia was captured, he truly would be helpless. For Xiaoxia's sake, he couldn't possibly fight these sailors to the death. Not only would the mission fail, but he'd likely end up in the black market. If he had just arrived in this world, Mu Chen wouldn't have cared about this situation. He might even have hoped that a young woman would buy him. But now it's different. After forging a deep bond with Xiaozi and Xiaoxia, how could Mu Chen possibly abandon his two companions? Chapter 63 Hope. Ha ha ha. Yes, isn't it good that you're obedient like this? Pikachu, I have high hopes for you. Finally, after the sailors brought over the unconscious Kajiro and the bound Misty, Mu Chen gave up resisting. What could he do? A knife was already at Misty's beautiful neck. Damn it. If only I were stronger. Mu Chen knew that if he were stronger, like Pikachu from the anime, dealing with the captain and his crew would be a piece of cake with a single super thunderbolt. But Alice, he wasn't. However, despite this, Mu Chen wouldn't give up hope easily. HMPH. You idiots, do you really think I'm the big boss? Wrong. Completely wrong. The real big boss, Ash, that idiot, hasn't shown himself yet. Yes, Mu Chen's confidence came from the Pokeball on Ash's waist, the Pokeball containing Melodic. Because Melodic's massive 6-meter length wasn't suitable for summoning on the Saint Anne, Ash didn't even think of it. But while Ash, that idiot, couldn't remember, how could Mu Chen forget his partner? HMPH. Anyway, the system's mission was for him to protect Ash and escape the Saint Anne, but it didn't seem to specify how, right? Would destroying the Saint Anne count as an escape method? Thinking and acting immediately, that's always been Mu Chen's style. Because the sailors didn't know there was such a big boss inside Ash's Pokeball, they hadn't had time to search Ash's Pokeballs yet. And this gave Mu Chen his opportunity. Pika Pika. To distract the sailors, Mu Chen's first action was to let out an angry cry at Jessie and the others, as if blaming them for everything. Damn it. Yellow Pikachu, stop squeaking, little mouse, you really disappoint me. Why bother with that little girl's life or death? Meow. Jessie and Meowth, already frustrated by everyone's scorn, finally found an outlet for their pent-up frustration upon hearing Pikachu's cry. Pika Pika, good for you, baby. Keep going. Spray harder. Seeing Jessie and Meowth cooperating so well, Mu Chen shouted even more enthusiastically. That's it, spray harder, let the sailors focus all their attention here. Meanwhile, Mu Chen, trapped in the fishing net, wasn't idle. His lightning-shaped tail had already quietly extended out of the net, slid down towards Ash's waist not far away. Because the sailors' attention was entirely focused on discussing how much Pikachu and Meowth could sell for, and even on Jessie who was constantly cursing, no one noticed Pikachu's actions. Of course, it's not that no one noticed. Among the crowd, one person noticed Pikachu's tail and its purpose. That person was Misty. Seeing Pikachu reaching for Ash's waist, how could Misty not guess its intention? At that moment, Misty also thought of Ash's inexplicably evolved Melodic. If that creature were released, these sailors probably wouldn't be able to withstand it, right? As long as enough chaos was created, wouldn't everyone have a chance to escape? Therefore, after realizing Pikachu's purpose, Misty quickly moved her body, barely managing to block Pikachu's movements behind her. Misty. What's wrong? Did they beat you up? You despicable bastards. You'd better let us go right now, or Officer Jenny will never forgive you. Seeing Misty suddenly fall, Ash, who had been watching the scene, was immediately shocked. These bastards. How could they lay a hand on a girl like Misty? Clearly, Ash had no idea what was going on. After all, He was just a child who had just left home. And his understanding of the darkness of this world was not deep. Pikachu, Mu Chen, who was struggling to drive his tail, almost died of anger when he heard Xiaozhi's words. What the hell? Use your brain, pay attention, bro. What time is it? Are you still playing games with words? Mu Chen realized that he had truly lost his Xiaozhi's naivety and innocence. Ha ha ha. This idiot kid, he's killing me with laughter. Hearing Xiaozhi's idiotic threat, the sailors immediately burst into loud laughter. Don't be naive. Officer Jenny? Miss Officer Jenny does frighten us. But so what? Is it possible that she would know about this? Every year, there are always quite a few league trainers who die on their journeys. If a few people drown on their journeys, I'm afraid no one will care, right? Ha ha ha. Seeing that Xiaozhi was still cursing and calculating how much he could earn this time, the captain finally couldn't stand it anymore and looked up at him to give a well-intentioned explanation. Just then, due to the different angle, the captain, looking up, saw a lightning bolt-shaped yellow tail already hanging on Ash's Pokeball. Oh no. Quick! Stop him, because they had already captured several people. The sailors, who were celebrating, hadn't had time to collect all the Pokeballs around Ash, which led to the current situation. Normally, this wouldn't be a problem. After all, the captain had lied about the prize being a rare treasure like the mystic water drop to entice trainers to use their strongest abilities in the competition. Logically speaking, the Pokemon used by the participating trainers would definitely be their most powerful ones. As for Melodic, which is huge, you know, huge size often means superhuman strength, and the captain and the others really didn't think these ordinary trainers had that kind of strength. Therefore, they never imagined that Ash, this novice trainer, actually had such a big boss on him. Now, after seeing Pikachu's actions, although the captain couldn't guess what Pokemon was in the Pokeball, he still had an instinctive premonition. This is definitely not a good thing. Therefore, the captain quickly warned the sailors. But Alice, he realized it too late. Pikachu, my dear, come out. Your old man is counting on you now. Finally, after much effort, Mu Chen managed to attach his tail to the summoning switch on the Pokeball. Snap! With a crisp sound, Ash's Pokeball was activated. Chapter 64. Dare to touch my girl? Inoki, damn it. Stop it, everyone, attack. It's Melodic. Melodic. If we catch it, we'll be rich. Don't panic, quick, summon your Pokemon, we have to take it down. After a flash of light, the gigantic Melodic appeared in the not-so-spacious captain's cabin. Melodic's appearance immediately caused a huge commotion. However, after the commotion subsided, the sailors' eyes revealed greed. You see, they risked their lives on this high seas, earning just enough to support their families. Even their captain was just a retired Navy officer hired by a passenger transport company. That's why they chose to do such a despicable thing. They just never expected that the sailors who only wanted to do a small job would accidentally stumble upon a great gift. Melodic, a Pokemon that represents the embodiment of beauty, is a truly rare existence. Although everyone knew that Melodic evolved from Feraligatr, the problem was, the conditions for this evolution remain a mystery to scientists, and this is why Melodic is so rare in the world. Now that the sailors have actually seen a live Melodic, how could they resist such a huge temptation? Everyone knows that catching this Melodic could completely change their lives. Melodic, attack. Use, I don't know what Melodic can do. Never mind, Melodic, just do whatever you want. Keep in mind, Melodic has only recently evolved, and Ash has no idea what Melodic's moves are. Therefore, Ash, who originally wanted to give some commands, could only choose this awkward command. Pikachu. Pikachu, holy crap. You idiot, stop paying attention to Melodic and come help me. Seeing Ash, this idiot, enter trainer battle command mode, Mu Chen almost fainted from anger. It's important to understand that Melodic has only recently evolved, and many of its innate skills haven't been fully mastered yet. It might not have the upper hand against these sailors. If they manage to maintain their formation, Mu Chen will truly suffer a double loss. Therefore, Mu Chen's most urgent task now is to take advantage of the chaos in the water to escape from this damned fishing net. If it can get out, with Melodic's help, it might be able to put up a fight against these sailors. Even if it's truly outmatched, it can use Melodic's help to jump into the sea and escape. After all, The mission's objective is to protect Ash from the Saint-Ans, and with this giant water snake, Mu Chen isn't afraid of the ocean at all. Pikachu, I'll help you. Finally, not everyone is as carefree as Ash. Misty has seen everything Mu Chen does. She knows this little guy's intelligence all too well. When she saw Pikachu struggling to break free from the fishing net, she immediately understood its plan. What more could be said? Although Zylox's hands and feet were bound, the little girl could still use her mouth and teeth to pull at the fishing net. Pikachu, well done, Zyloxa, I didn't spoil you for nothing. There's no harm without comparison. Looking at Zyloxa, and then at Zyozzy, Mu Chen felt a pang of pain in his heart. How could the difference between people be so great? Big brother, if you had even half of Zylox's thoughtfulness, I would laugh myself to death. But Alice, fate is predetermined. Who told me to follow such a heartless idiot? Ha ha ha. Melodic, go for it. That's it, go for it. Beat them. Meow. Seeing Melodic suddenly appear, Jessie and Meowth saw hope again. At this moment, they were sincerely cheering for Melodic. Jessie and Meowth weren't stupid. The situation was very clear. If Melodic won, at most they would be handed over to Officer Jenny by Zyozzy for punishment. But if Melodic fails, their fate will be tragic. Pikachu, finally, with Misty's help, Mu Chen managed to break free from the fishing net amidst the sailors' chaos. Just as he let out an excited cry, ready to join the battle, he witnessed a scene that infuriated him. I know, Melodic was now firmly pinned to the captain's deck by dozens of fighting-type Pokémon. Although the captain's cabin was a mess due to the battle, the sailors were all excited. Ha ha ha. Melodic. We caught Melodic, we're rich. We're rich, this is Melodic. This is the first time I've ever seen and touched one in person. These little scales are so smooth. The sailors who had captured Melodic were stroking its body. Of course, the sailors didn't mean anything by it, they were simply looking forward to a bright future. But this was a different story for Mu Chen. Damn it. Get your filthy hands off her, that's my girl. You see, Mu Chen was never one to be petty. Seeing his girl being groped and pinned down by a bunch of muscular men, Mu Chen was furious. Pikachu, without a word, Mu Chen let out an angry cry, and electricity began to surge and gather on his cheeks. Huh? Damn it. How did Pikachu get out? Attracted by Mu Chen's cry, a sailor turned to look. He was immediately shocked. Pikachu had escaped from the fishing net? The electricity leaping on the little guy's cheeks was even visible to the naked eye. Pikachu, too late. Take this 100,000 volts of fury. Melodic, your man is here to save you. Although the sailor noticed Pikachu's movement, he was still a step too late. Just as the sailors were speaking, Mu Chen gathered the electricity on his cheeks and unleashed a powerful strike at the sailors. Zzzzz. The electricity, carrying Mu Chen's fury, roared towards the sailors. Ah, help, Hoga, Yobo. The screams of the sailors and their Pokémon rang out. Caught completely off guard, the sailors were hit by Mu Chen's charged 100,000 volt attack. Although the damage was shared among them, preventing any casualties, their restraint on Melodic was broken. Who are the people in Chapter 65? Fellow trainers, this is the captain of the Saint-An. We urgently request your assistance. The champions of this year's Saint-An Grand Prix are the despicable Team Rocket. We are currently engaged in battle with them. Trainers of the league, we implore you to come immediately to the captain's cabin on the 4th floor and assist us in defeating these evil Team Rocket. After Mu Chen successfully escaped, the sailors gradually became unable to hold him off. You see, these people were, frankly speaking, just some of the lowest-ranking trainers. They took up sailing jobs simply to make a living. Therefore, most of the Pokémon they possessed were common Pokémon like Machop, Mankey, and Lilligant, which were convenient for navigating and transporting goods. Even their captain's most powerful Pokémon was only Poliwrath. They could handle a Pikachu or a Melodic alone without much difficulty. But when the two teamed up, the sailors were no match. The level of coordination between the two was simply beyond the sailors' expectations. But how could they possibly know the inexplicable relationship between Mu Chen and Melodic? After being defeated, the captain did something that even Mu Chen found shameful. This guy actually turned the tables, accusing them of being the evil Team Rocket, while they themselves became the righteous ones? Holy crap. I've lived all these years and seen shameless people, but I've never seen anyone this shameless. But Alice, he's the captain, so his words naturally carry more weight than his own. When Mu Chen heard the captain say those words through the loudspeaker in the captain's cabin, he knew he didn't have much time left. If he couldn't quickly defeat these sailors, he'd be in real trouble once all the unsuspecting trainers arrived. Even if those people weren't particularly strong, there were still so many of them. How many Pokémon could hundreds or thousands of people possibly have? At this moment, Mu Chen didn't have the courage to take on 1,000 people single-handedly. Pikachu, left with no other choice, Mu Chen could only run quickly towards Ash and Misty. At the very least, they need to remove the ropes binding their hands and feet so they can escape, right? Pikachu! Quick! Come save us. I can help you fight too. Meow. Seeing Pikachu's actions, Meowth got excited. This was a perfect opportunity to escape. Yes. Pikachu, quickly untie us, we can help you fight. And I promise, I won't do anything unfriendly to you again. Let's be friends. Musashi was also very excited. Pika, what the hell? What's going on? Hearing Meowth's words, Mu Chen still didn't react. With Meowth's pathetic level 5 combat power, it wouldn't matter if it were there or not. Why would I have time to save it? But what did this little girl Musashi just say? She won't cause trouble again, and even wants to be friends with me? Hearing this, Mu Chen was slightly moved. Turning his head, he saw Musashi struggling to twist her mature body, trying to break free of the ropes. Staring at those twitching, white legs, Mu Chen was momentarily stunned. Those were the white legs of a mature woman. They were wider, longer, and more voluptuous than Xiaoxia's. Damn it. No. I can't save her. Just as Mu Chen was lost in thought, he suddenly remembered the harm those guys had done to Xiaoxia. So what if she has white legs? I have Xiaoxia. This Musashi hurt Xiaoxia. I've already been more than merciful by not giving him a 100,000 volt attack. Firming his resolve, Mu Chen instantly erased all his previous delusions. I'm going to be a professional good man. Because of his bond with Xiaoxia, Mu Chen had changed a lot. At least, he wasn't the kind of person who was completely captivated by beautiful women now that he'd just arrived in this world. But Alice, just as Mu Chen had solidified his resolve, Xiaozhi, whom he had already freed, shattered it once again. Great. We really need your help right now. Let's work together to defeat these wretched sailors. Clearly, the naive Ash believed Jessie and Meowth's words. At that moment, Mu Chen was helping Misty untie her ropes and naturally couldn't stop him. In just a short while, Ash had already untied the ropes binding Jessie. Bang! However, instead of the grateful gaze Jessie expected, Ash was greeted by a huge footprint. Idiot. Who wants to help you fight? You guys play by yourselves, we're not playing along. Kicking Ash away, Jessie quickly removed the fishing net binding Meowth. Then, as she spoke, Jessie hoisted the unconscious Kajiro onto her shoulder and strode towards the door. No way. The captain had already called for trainers to come and surround them. If not now, when? With that idiot Ash drawing the fire, I'm not playing along. Pikachu, holy crap. I knew it. Seeing that Jessie was so disloyal, Mu Chen was furious. Ash, you're such an idiot. I controlled my primal desires, how could you still fall for it? But now that Jessie had run away, Mu Chen couldn't abandon Melodic, who was fighting alone, to chase after her. After all, Melodic's importance to Mu Chen was irreplaceable. Damn it. Team Rocket. I won't trust you again next time. Mu Chen wasn't the only one filled with rage. Ash, kicked away by Jessie and getting up, was also furious. How could anyone be so shameless? Ash, ignore Team Rocket. Go, Starmie, use Ultra Speed to help Melodic. Misty, on the other hand, was much more sober. Freed from her restraints, Misty immediately summoned her most powerful weapon, Starmie. Now, without dealing with these sailors, the two of them have no chance of escape. How could Xiaoxia not understand the importance of this situation? At Xiaoxia's call, Starmie appeared. Immediately, Starmie began to spin wildly, crashing into the group of sailors. Pikachu, reminded by Xiaoxia, Mu Chen stopped paying attention to Musashi, who had already escaped, and turned back to charge into the battlefield. Melodic, my little darling. Hang in there, I'm coming. Chapter 66 A Chance to Escape. Trainers. Quick, help us take down these two villainous Team Rocket. Just as Pikachu charged to the front lines again, increasing the pressure on the sailors, the trainers, summoned by the captain, gradually arrived to eliminate evil. Seeing dozens of trainers rushing up to the 4th floor, the captain and the crew were overjoyed. Ha ha ha. Damn brats, I'll teach you a lesson for being arrogant. This time, let's see how you die. They'd only committed one evil deed, and now such a huge turn of events had occurred. At this moment, the captain and the others only wanted to kill Ash and Misty. Only in this way could they cover up their misdeeds and continue sailing the St. Anne on the high seas. As for the escaped Jesse and James, the captain wasn't worried at all. Those two were clearly no match for him. Once they took down this troublesome Ash, where could they run to on the St. Anne? What do we do? Ash, Misty was terrified when she saw a group of trainers rushing up. Ash and Misty had already exhausted themselves dealing with these sailors. If they added these unsuspecting trainers to the mix, how could they possibly stand a chance? Don't fall for it. We're not Team Rocket. It's the captain. He's the bad guy. He tricked me, trying to steal my Pokémon. This was Ash's plan. Severely lacking in social experience, Ash's thinking was far too naive. Pikachu, Mu Chen, who was frantically unleashing thunderbolts on the front lines, clearly couldn't accept Ash's innocent heart. What the hell? Did you forget something when you were born, leaving it with Hanako? How could you be so clueless? It's already so obvious. They've got the moral high ground. Who the hell would believe a brat like you? Trainers. These Team Rocket members are incredibly cunning. If we hadn't noticed something amiss when distributing the prizes, we would have been completely fooled. For the League, for justice, let's defeat Team Rocket. Clearly, this was a battle on entirely different levels. Ash's naive explanations were nowhere near the captain's passionate rallying cry. Oh no. What do we do? Misty, they don't believe us. Seeing the unsuspecting trainers charging forward with even more enthusiasm after hearing the captain's pep talk, Ash was bewildered. What was going on with these people? Why didn't they believe him? Oh no. Ash, let's find a way to escape. Seeing Ash still fixated on the trainer's distrust of his explanation, Misty panicked. What time is it? Why are you still worrying about whether they believe you or not? Even if you want them to believe you, you need to escape first. However, Misty also knew they had already missed their best chance to leave. The 4th deck of the St. Anne is now completely surrounded by these trainers, and they have nowhere to escape. The only reason Pikachu, Melodic, and Starmie are holding off the sailors' attack is because the space is too small, preventing the trainers' Pokémon from getting close. However, Misty knows that this stalemate is only temporary. If it drags on, once Pikachu and the others run out of energy, it will be the end for the two of them. Pika, damn it. This won't do. Similarly, Mu Chen, fighting on the front lines, also realized that the current situation was extremely unfavorable to him. In this situation, let alone rescuing Ash and the others, he himself was probably in grave danger. Darling, you can heal yourself anyway, so just hold on a little longer. I'm going to check on things. Without caring whether Melodic could understand him or not, Mu Chen muttered to himself and immediately turned and sprinted towards the captain's cabin. Ha ha ha. Come on, brothers. Their Pikachu is done for. Seeing Pikachu desert, the sailors' morale soared. As the saying goes, many hands make light work, and with reinforcements, the sailors' spirits rose even higher. In fact, many sailors felt a pang of regret. These two brats didn't seem so difficult to deal with. Melodic, aside from its large size and ability to recover, wasn't much different. And Pikachu was even worse, so what if its attacks were fierce? A few thunderbolts and it was out of power and had to run away. As for the last one to appear, Starmie, a fighting-type Pokémon, wasn't too hard for the sailors to handle. Damn it. If we'd known these brats were only this strong, we shouldn't have summoned these trainers. Human greed is insatiable. After discovering that they could handle Ash and Misty, the sailors' greed rekindled. However, what the sailors didn't know was that Mu Chen's departure wasn't due to running out of power. Pikachu? What are you doing? Ash was equally clueless. Melodic and Starmie were almost at their limit, so why did Pikachu run away? To Ash, this was simply unbelievable. How could Pikachu possibly desert its post? No way. But if it wasn't running away, what was Pikachu doing? Ash. Come quick. Pikachu is beckoning us over. Compared to Ash, Misty was much more alert. Seeing Pikachu suddenly abandon the battle and run away, Misty immediately guessed that the clever little guy must have some purpose. Sure enough, after observing carefully, she immediately noticed Pikachu waving at them. Obviously, The little thing had discovered something and wanted them to hurry over. Pika Pika, oh my, Misty, you're so thoughtful. Seeing that Misty had noticed his gesture, Mu Chen was so excited that he almost cried. Damn it. Do you think it's easy for me? Mu Chen's departure before wasn't because of any fear of battle. As he realized the enemy numbers were increasing, Mu Chen knew it was impossible to fight his way out. So, he decided to return to the chaotic captain's cabin. After all, in this enclosed space on the 4th floor, only the captain's cabin had windows. Since the door was blocked, he figured he'd try the window. As the saying goes, when God closes a door, he always leaves a window, right? That was Mu Chen's solution. Fortunately, when he returned to the captain's cabin, he found that although it was a mess, the path to the window wasn't blocked. This gave them a chance to escape. Chapter 67 Mu Chen's hard work. Stop them. Stop them. We can't let them get away. At this moment, Mu Chen was cursing 1,000 times. Ash. Are you trying to drive me crazy? Why did you have to tell those people we were going to escape? Why didn't you just run out the window? Yes, I know you can't let go of Melodic. But why didn't you recall her to her Pokeball while you were running? Why did you have to shout it out to warn the sailors? Earlier, when Mu Chen led Ash and Misty to the captain's cabin, they understood his meaning through some gestures. Obviously, he was telling them to escape through the window. But the problem was, Ash turned around and shouted that Melodic should also retreat. This completely ignited a hornet's nest. Seeing that they were about to surround and kill Ash, they suddenly heard that they had found an escape route. How could the sailors not be anxious? Now, Melodic couldn't be recalled, and several sailors who had climbed over the wall appeared in front of Ash, blocking his way. Pikachu, despite his inner grumbling at Ash, Mu Chen still had to come to the rescue. Seeing several sailors rushing towards him, Mu Chen didn't waste any words, letting out a cry before unleashing a quick attack on them. Pikachu. Use Thunderbolt. Seeing Pikachu charge at the sailors, Ash quickly gave the command to correct its mistake. Pikachu, Volt? Volt my ass. Hearing Ash's command, Mu Chen almost turned around and punched him in anger. Did you think Thunderbolt was free? How long had I been electrocuting them? Didn't you see my cheeks were almost dry? Thunderbolt again? A few more hits and I'd be dead. You know, a Pokemon's energy isn't inexhaustible. Mu Chen had already expended a lot of energy and stamina in the previous battles, and its condition was now nearing its limit. Therefore, Mu Chen had no intention of using a cannon to kill a mosquito when facing these sailors. Damn it, just a few muscle-bound brutes, why would I waste 100,000 volts? Are you kidding me? Quick! Grab it, this little thing is coming, it's out of power, don't be afraid, grab it. You must catch it. Seeing Pikachu charging towards them, the sailors were more delighted than alarmed. They were inside the captain's cabin. What happened outside was invisible to the trainers. They thought their job was a waste, but Pikachu had unexpectedly delivered itself to their doorstep. If they caught it, their losses would be recouped, and they might even make a small profit. Pikachu, a bunch of simple-minded muscle-bound brutes, trying to catch me? Hearing the sailors' shouts, Mu Chen sneered inwardly. He had deliberately used quick attack on them. His purpose was to get close to these sailors. Haha. Little mouse, where do you think you're going? The impact of quick attack had dissipated by the time Mu Chen reached the sailors. Just then, a sailor who had been waiting for this moment rushed forward and pinned Mu Chen to the ground. Zzzzz. Just as the sailor was overjoyed, the sound of electricity returned from the cheeks of the Pikachu beneath him. Ah, damn it. Help pounce. It turned out that Mu Chen had been prepared when the sailors pounced. He was reluctant to use Thunderbolt, but a move like electromagnetic wave, which didn't do much damage, was perfectly acceptable. While electromagnetic wave wouldn't knock the sailors down outright, it would paralyze them, greatly reducing their mobility. That was enough for Mu Chen. To put it bluntly, Mu Chen's goal was to help Ash and the others escape, not to fight these sailors to the death. Therefore, Mu Chen rushed forward to use electromagnetic waves at close range, increasing his chances of success. As for the result? Naturally, it was extremely satisfying for Mu Chen. Dude, you guys are really damn cooperative. Mu Chen had originally planned to expend energy on a high-speed movement to take down these muscle-bound guys more efficiently. But unexpectedly, these guys actually rushed forward to deliver themselves. What's there to be polite about? A gentle electric current, of course, had to start crackling. After the first sailor who grabbed Mu Chen was hit, the remaining sailors rushed forward one after another to rescue their companion. You know, the human body conducts electricity. After the sailors touched the first unlucky guy, they immediately followed suit, breaking into various breakdancing moves. Help! Seeing the muscle-bound guys starting to sway, Mu Chen, who had just gotten up, became excited. Pikachu, Pikachu, come on, draw a dragon with me on the left, and a rainbow on your right. After gloating for a while, Mu Chen charged towards Ash and Misty again. Ash. Pikachu wants us to go to the window. Because of their frequent interactions, Misty could now roughly guess what Pikachu meant by its gestures. No. We can't leave. Melodic and your Starmie are still battling outside. Ash was never one to abandon his friends. Although the opportunity to escape had presented itself, the thought of Melodic still battling made Ash hesitate, even showing a hint of wanting to rush out again. Pikachu, damn it. This idiot, why the hell are you forcing me to use an electric shock on you? Seeing Ash actually trying to turn around and run back, Mu Chen became extremely anxious. What the hell am I working so hard for? Are you going back to become cannon fodder? It's fine if you become cannon fodder, but what about my mission? ZZZZT. With Ash being so uncooperative, Mu Chen decisively delivered a powerful electric shock. Pikachu, after electrifying Ash, Mu Chen gestured to Misty again. After a series of gestures, Mu Chen, without waiting for Misty to understand whether he meant for her to take Ash and escape through the window, sprinted towards the fourth-floor corridor. He was joking, of course his girl was there, how could he abandon her? Ash wouldn't abandon his friends, and Mu Chen certainly wouldn't abandon his girlfriend. A day's marriage is 100 days' grace, that saying wasn't just for show. At the very least, Mu Chen would absolutely not watch Melodic fall into the hands of those brute muscular men. Pikachu, watch out! Seeing Pikachu dash off again, Misty's eyes welled up with tears. Chapter 68 Fight for Your Life. Crackling sounds. Just as the sailors were preparing to take down Melodic and Starmie in one fell swoop, a violent crackling of electricity suddenly came from behind them. This was Mu Chen, who had arrived again. Although Mu Chen's internal electricity was completely depleted, in order to rescue his girlfriend, he still unleashed his greatest potential, releasing the most powerful thunderbolt he could currently use. Yobo, Eek, with one thunderbolt, several Pokémon charging at the front line immediately let out screams of pain. Pikachu! Pikachu! Taking this opportunity, Mu Chen waved his short arms repeatedly, giving a signal to Melodic and Starmie, who turned around. Fortunately, although these two were Pokémon, their intelligence wasn't as worrying as Ash's. After seeing Pikachu's gesture, Melodic and Starmie quickly took advantage of the enemy's confusion to retreat. Obviously, Mu Chen's plan was for them to escape with him through the window. As for whether Melodic's large size would damage the window? Are you kidding me? With lives at stake, who cares about that? Besides, this captain isn't exactly a saint. Does Mu Chen expect him to have any sense of public morality? Oh no. Stop them. Don't let them escape. First mate, immediately notify the sailors to set up an interception on the lower decks. Don't let those two Team Rocket members escape. Seeing Melodic and Starmie retreating, the captain, who was giving orders, was immediately alarmed. Those two brats had been in the captain's cabin for half a day. The captain naturally guessed they planned to escape through the window. The captain wasn't particularly concerned about the two brats. On the St. Anne, they had nowhere to hide. What truly concerned the captain were the Pokémon in front of him. Whether it was Pikachu with its Thunderbolt attack or the rare Melodic and Starmie, they were all commodities that could fetch high prices on the black market. Once he captured those Pokémon, what to do with them was entirely up to him, right? But unexpectedly, the prize he was about to see slipped away, which the captain naturally couldn't accept. Pikachu, damn it! Is this never going to end? Seeing the captain actually leading the chase, Mu Chen, guarding the door, was enraged. Trying to capture me? Trying to ruin my mission? And trying to steal my girl? Who the hell gave you the courage? In his rage, Mu Chen disregarded his already exhausted stamina. Sizzle, electricity surged again on his already flushed cheeks. Clearly, Mu Chen, enraged by the relentless pursuit of the captain, was prepared to fight to the death. Anyway, if he got caught and failed his mission, he was going to die anyway, so let's die together. Who says Otaku don't have courage? Who says Otaku are only perverts? When the person they want to protect is in danger, an otaku can also sacrifice their life to become Ultraman. Don't be afraid. This yellow-skinned rat is already exhausted. That thunderbolt attack just now has completely drained him. The captain is right. Brothers, charge, catch Team Rocket. We can't let them get away. Seeing Pikachu prepare to use thunderbolt again, the captain didn't back down at all. Seriously? You're just a Pikachu? Do you think you're some kind of legendary electric-type Pokémon? The captain had calculated that this Pikachu had used Thunderbolt at least dozens of times since the start of the battle. He refused to believe that this little thing could still use such a powerful move. However, while the captain's calculations were indeed correct, he overlooked a desperate determination. Pikachu, finally, before he lost consciousness, the dizzy Mu Chen released the electricity that had accumulated in his cheeks. What? How is this possible? Help, run, get out of my way. Don't block my way. When the group that had caught up with Mu Chen saw that Pikachu had actually unleashed Thunderbolt again, they were immediately horrified. No kidding, Thunderbolt isn't some weak skill like an electric shock. Getting electrocuted by this thing would leave you half dead, even if you didn't die. They came to help. Who wanted to be lying in bed for 10 days or half a month for no reason? The pursuing trainers fled the dangerous area near the captain's cabin door at an even faster speed than before. Because the pursuers turned and fled, a huge commotion instantly broke out among the trainers. Those behind, unaware of the situation, still wanted to continue the chase. But those in front, fearing being hit by Thunderbolt, retreated recklessly. Chaos spread instantly. I know, of course, Mu Chen could no longer see any of this. After unleashing a 100,000 volt attack that exceeded its limits, Mu Chen gloriously passed out. Seeing Mu Chen unconscious, Melodic, who had already escaped into the captain's cabin, immediately turned and wrapped its tail around the unconscious yellow-skinned rat, carrying it along as they fled towards the window. If Mu Chen were conscious at this moment, he would have been extremely excited. That little Melodic, she's got a conscience. I didn't spoil her for nothing. Unfortunately, Mu Chen was unconscious, so he was completely unaware of what was happening before him. First mate. Immediately order the lower-level crew to intercept them. Don't let them get away. Tell the trainers to assist in the interception. We absolutely cannot let these damned Team Rocket escape. At this point, it was too late to intercept Melodic, who was preparing to leap out of the window. Enraged, the captain could only pull out the walkie-talkie and begin directing the first mate to intercept it on the lower deck. Melodic, after all, is a water-type Pokémon. If they successfully escape into the vast ocean, the captain and his crew would truly be unable to catch them. Others might not know, but how could the captain and his men not know? What they were doing was truly illegal. If those two brats escaped, they would inevitably face judgment from the Alliance. The thought of that tragic fate befalling them at any moment sent shivers down the captain's spine. Damn it! Damn it! Everything was proceeding according to plan. It was supposed to be foolproof. How could such a huge unexpected situation have arisen? Damn it! It's all that yellow-skinned rat's fault. At that moment, the captain suddenly remembered. If that yellow-skinned rat hadn't escaped during the initial ambush, how could so many troubles have arisen afterward? But Alice, in this world, anything is possible, except for what-ifs. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69 What happened after falling into coma? Splash splash. When Mu Chen woke up again, all he heard was the sound of waves crashing against the shore. Pikachu, what the hell? What's going on? I remember, shouldn't I still be on that damned Saint-Anne? How the hell did I end up here? Looking at the surrounding seawater, Mu Chen was completely bewildered. Great! Pikachu is awake. Misty. Pikachu is awake. Attracted by Pikachu's cries, Ash, who had been fast asleep, immediately woke up. Looking at Pikachu waking up in his arms, Ash grinned like an idiot. Pikachu, what the hell? Why is this sweaty idiot holding me? Where's Misty? Accustomed to Misty's embrace, the first thing Mu Chen did upon waking up was question why it was this moron Ash holding him. Damn it, if I hadn't overdrawn my energy, I would have given you a makeshift punk hairstyle to show you I'm not so easy to carry. Mu Chen valued his own sovereignty above all else. But Alice, now, let alone an electric shock, even getting up was a struggle. Awake? Great. Pikachu is finally awake. Attracted by Zyuox's voice, Mu Chen quickly turned his head. Upon seeing this, Mu Chen realized that it wasn't Zyuox carrying him. At this moment, Zyuox's right arm was wrapped in bandages, but even so, traces of blood were still seeping from the bandages. Clearly, Zyuox was injured while he was unconscious. Pika, seeing Zyuox injured, Mu Chen immediately became anxious. Holy crap! What the hell happened while I was unconscious? And where am I now? Turning his head again, Mu Chen realized that Ash and Zyuox were both on Melodic's back, being carried across the sea. No wonder there was the sound of waves. But what the hell happened? Someone tell me. Pikachu, you must be curious about what happened after you fainted, right? Come to think of it, you really are our savior. Seeing Pikachu's face full of question marks, Zyuox, in a good mood, teased it. Zyuox, can Pikachu understand what you're saying? In Zyuox's mind, Pokémon could only understand battle commands and some simple conversations. If they could understand everything, would they still be Pokémon? Zyuox, you really don't know your Pokémon. Pikachu is very smart. Zyuox's understanding of Pikachu was obviously far superior to Zyuox's. Pika, holy crap, don't forget about me, you two. What happened? Tell me. Seeing Zyuox and Zyuox start bickering, Mu Chen immediately became anxious. Can't you tell me what's going on first? Are you two bickering? Alright, Pikachu, I'll tell you what happened. Seeing Pikachu's urgent cry, Misty smiled sweetly. This little guy is so brave and smart. It turns out that after Misty dragged the stunned Ash to the third deck of the St. Anne's, she didn't leave immediately but waited. After all, their Pokémon were still fighting up there. Not only Ash, but Misty herself, how could she abandon her Pokémon? The reason she obeyed Pikachu's command and jumped out the window was simply because Misty knew that staying would only cause trouble. After waiting for a while, Misty wasn't disappointed. The first to fall from the window was naturally her Starmie. Then, Melodic's huge body appeared in Misty's sight. Of course, Pikachu, entangled by Melodic, was also brought out. The sailors, of course, weren't happy about their target escaping. Just as Zyuox was still basking in the joy of their reunion, the crew, led by the first mate, surrounded her again. Seeing the sailors close in once more, Zyuox was plunged into despair. At this moment, Starmie was severely weakened, Pikachu was exhausted and unconscious, and Melodic had little strength left. Facing the numerous sailors and even the unsuspecting trainers, Zyuox saw no chance of escape. Boom! Boom! Unexpectedly, just as Zyuox was in despair, the St. Anne suddenly began to shake. Then, violent explosions resounded from the St. Anne's hull. The sudden shaking and violent explosions plunged everyone on board the St. Anne into panic. They were on the vast ocean. If the St. Anne suffered an accident, perhaps only 1 in 10 of the thousands of passengers would survive. Shipwrecks are always the most terrifying thing. With a shaking, Ash, who had been stunned by the electric shocks, regained consciousness. Seeing what was happening before their eyes, Ash and Misty naturally wouldn't miss such an opportunity. Taking advantage of a moment of panic among the sailors, Ash directed Melodic to rush to the edge of the deck, and the two successfully jumped overboard and escaped. This happened after Mu Chen regained consciousness. As for what exactly happened on the St. Anne, Misty said she didn't know. Hearing Misty say this, Mu Chen understood what had happened. I can't believe my life is so lucky, he thought. I wonder what happened to Jessie and the others who escaped earlier? Those damned bastards, I hope they're buried at sea. But Mu Chen didn't know that this time, he should thank Jessie. The shaking and explosion on the St. Anne were caused by Jessie. After she and Meowth escaped with James, she casually stole a Magikarp from a trainer. As for the purpose of stealing the Magikarp, of course, it was to use it to jump overboard and escape. Jessie wasn't stupid. Why would she stay on the St. Anne and wait to be captured? Unexpectedly, whether it was luck or misfortune, Jessie was struck by a dramatic change the moment the Magikarp fell into the sea. It evolved. After evolving, the Magikarp showed no mercy to Jessie. A tornado erupted, and Team Rocket vanished from the sky once more. Immediately afterward, the enraged Gyarados launched a furious attack on the St. Anne. At that very moment, Ash and Misty were trapped on the third deck. It was precisely because of Gyarados' attack that Ash and Misty were able to escape. Of course, Mu Chen and his friends were unaware of the good deed Team Rocket had done. Chapter 70 The Unknown Reward. Ash, where are we going? On the vast ocean, there were no precise coordinates. A full half-day had passed since they escaped the St. Anne. In that time, Misty and Ash hadn't eaten or drunk anything. They could hold on for a short while, but if things continued like this, Misty didn't even want to imagine the consequences. Ugh. There are no precise coordinates, I don't know where we're headed. But don't worry, Misty, I believe in melodic, it will definitely bring us back to land. Compared to Misty, Ash was much more optimistic. Ash always had a mysterious confidence in his Pokémon. Pikachu, ignoring Ash, the recovered Mu Chen was already beside Misty. As for his purpose? Just kidding, didn't he see Misty was injured? Didn't he feel sorry for her? A rub was a must. As for whether the rubbing was only on Xiaoxi's injured right arm, Xiaoxi, you're so thoughtful. Pikachu is so considerate, knowing my arm is injured. Thank you, Pikachu. Xiaoxi was naturally speechless at Xiaoxi's carefree attitude. But just then, she noticed Pikachu had darted over and was carefully rubbing around her injured arm. Clearly, the little guy was expressing concern for her injury. Seeing Pikachu's actions, Xiaoxi's mood naturally improved considerably. However, damn it! You little rascal, Mu Chen, lost in his reverie, suddenly felt a sharp pain in his ear. Damn it! What's going on? My ear is about to fall off. A sharp pain struck, and Mu Chen could only use his peripheral vision to see what was happening. When he saw Xiaoxi's pretty face, as red as an apple, he immediately understood. Holy crap! I got too carried away again. Clearly, Mu Chen had once again fallen into a strange state and couldn't extricate himself, causing his little paws to press on the wound in a slightly off-center position. Normally, when Xiaoxi held Mu Chen, this little guy would occasionally take advantage of her, and Xiaoxi would usually ignore it. However, the situation was different now. Xiaoxi was right across from them, and this little guy was being far too blatant. Xiaoxi? What's wrong? However, what Xiaoxi feared didn't happen. In Xiaoxi's view, Pikachu was just helping Xiaoxi press on the wound. What was so interesting about that? Completely uninteresting. Therefore, Xiaoxi focused all his attention on the sea. Wouldn't it be wonderful to encounter Pokémon while sailing at sea? Clearly, the incredibly carefree Xiaoxi wasn't worried about his situation at all. At this moment, he treated it entirely as a sea voyage. It's nothing. Pikachu accidentally pressed on my wound when it was pressing on it. Seeing that Xiaoxi hadn't noticed what had just happened, Xiaoxi breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully, the embarrassment wasn't quite over yet, it was downright humiliating. You little rascal, if you dare mess around again, I'll throw you into the sea, Xiaoxi threatened, feigning ferocity, in a voice only she and Pikachu could hear. Pika, damn it. I genuinely had no choice. I swear, I really just wanted to massage and soothe your injury. But faced with Mu Chen's innocent expression, Xiaoxi decisively ignored him. This little guy was incredibly clever, he deliberately took advantage and then pretended to be innocent. Xiaoxi knew Mu Chen's tactics inside and out. She knew that in this situation, she absolutely couldn't show any mercy, absolutely couldn't give this little guy the slightest bit of kindness. Otherwise he would only push his luck. Pika, seeing Xiaoxi's attitude, Mu Chen knew he had really messed up this time. Clearly, this little girl was too ashamed to talk to him now. Xiaoxi couldn't go, and Mu Chen didn't want to go to Xiaoxi's. Perched on Melodic's back, bored, Mu Chen could only study the system. Speaking of which, I've completed this mission, but the reward hasn't been issued yet, has it? System, come out, hurry up, give me the reward. I want to see what this unknown reward is all about. Mu Chen was filled with curiosity and anticipation regarding the word unknown. He wondered what this system could possibly come up with. Mission complete, reward issued, please check. After Mu Chen silently recited this in his mind, the system immediately responded. However, when Mu Chen saw the reward the system had asked him to check, only countless MMPs remained in his mind. What the hell is this? A roulette wheel? It makes me draw a prize? This is your so-called unknown reward? Okay, you're really something. Seeing this roulette wheel, Mu Chen finally understood why the reward was unknown. Damn it, I don't even know what I'll get from this spin, so the system is obviously just giving me the word unknown, but I'm going to see what this wheel has to offer. After some investigation, Mu Chen roughly figured out the rewards on the wheel. Basically, the rewards were divided into 4 equal parts. The first part was a skill reward, but the specifics weren't displayed. The second part was a base stat reward, with values ranging from 5 to 50 points randomly. The first 2 were nothing new, and Mu Chen was used to them. However, the last 2 rewards piqued his interest. What the hell is this? The third reward showed an ability. Mu Chen didn't know much about abilities, but he knew it was definitely something that could greatly enhance his strength. As for the last one, it was the one that interested Mu Chen the most, a skill PP increase potion. Just those few words, without any explanation. But Mu Chen knew that often, the most inconspicuous things were the most valuable. At this moment, Mu Chen was filled with anticipation for this big spin. Everybody, spin this wheel. Give me a PP potion. Even if it doesn't work, I can tolerate the special ability. Full of anticipation, Mu Chen spun the virtual wheel in his mind. But just as the pointer was about to stop, just as Mu Chen was intently waiting for the prize to be revealed, Zhi's cheers suddenly rang out. Of course, that didn't matter. But, you see land, fine, but why the hell are you hugging me? I'm about to draw the prize. Zzz. Enraged, Mu Chen's electric shock-inducing style kicked in decisively. Chapter 71 PP Increasing Agent. Where is this? Why isn't it marked on the map? Having reached land, Ash and Misty were completely lost. The island they were on seemed to be nowhere to be found on the map. Misty, don't worry about it. Let's go explore and see, okay? Melodic, thanks for your hard work. Come back. Clearly, Ash was much more relaxed after this situation. After telling Misty, Ash took out Melodic's Pokeball. They had relied entirely on Melodic's help on the high seas, otherwise, even if they had found land, they wouldn't be so relaxed now. No go, Melodic cried out in response to Ash. However, as Melodic cried out, a yellow mouse perched on Ash's shoulder instantly understood. Looking at Melodic's little eyes and seeing Melodic deliberately sway its slender waist, Mu Chen knew that this was urging him. It was almost time to hand in his homework. Pikachu, go back to your Pokémon and rest, you bastard. Do you think I wouldn't hand in my homework if I had a chance? At this moment, Mu Chen was most concerned about the system reward from before. The final spin of the wheel was very generous, landing on the PP boosting potion that Mu Chen had been most hoping for. However, Mu Chen was a little confused. He had played Pokémon games before, and in his understanding, PP was the number of times a move could be used. However, this world he was in wasn't a game, so there was no limit to the number of uses. For example, on the Saint N, if Mu Chen's internal electricity hadn't been limited, he probably could have unleashed a dozen or 1,000 volts. But, in reality, this system had given him a PP boosting potion from a game. This thing didn't have any instructions whatsoever. Was he supposed to just drink it? But no matter how Mu Chen called out to the system, it didn't respond at all. It was as if the system was watching him maliciously from somewhere, waiting for him to drink the PP potion. Screw you. After much deliberation, Mu Chen finally made a decision. A man dies, a bird flies to the sky. If he doesn't, he lives forever. Since it's a reward, it certainly won't harm him. Unable to find any other way to use it, Mu Chen ultimately chose the simplest and most direct method, drink. Of course, Mu Chen's drink was only within his mental world. Just then, a crisp thud rang out. Zhi, who was on his way, suddenly felt a lightness on his shoulder. Before he could react, Xiaoxia's exclamation rang out. Oh! Pikachu, what happened to you? Looking at Pikachu that had fallen from Zhi's shoulder to the ground, Xiaoxia's pretty face was filled with anxiety. How could it suddenly faint? Pikachu must have overexerted itself and hasn't recovered yet? Maybe we should find a place to rest and continue our journey tomorrow. Seeing Pikachu faint, Zhi was equally worried. This was his starter Pokémon. Unfortunately, on this island not marked on any map, Zhi didn't even see a single living person, let alone a Pokémon Center. However, Zhi were unaware that Mu Chen's fainting was entirely due to the PP boosting potion. After mentally drinking it, Mu Chen's brain felt like it had been struck by a heavy blow, instantly rendering him unconscious. Of course, this blow wasn't intentionally designed to harm him. It was simply because the PP boosting potion was modifying him. To put it bluntly, Mu Chen was possessing nothing more than an ordinary Pikachu. If he hadn't completed the mission and increased his base stats several times, he probably wouldn't have been able to unleash the power of 100,000 volts. Even so, the total amount of electricity in Mu Chen's body limited the number of times he could use moves. Now, after the modification by the PP boosting potion, the energy within Mu Chen's body underwent a tremendous change. If the total amount of electricity in Mu Chen's body was previously a bucket, it had now become a vat. Of course, the water tank wouldn't be filled directly, but Mu Chen's entire physique underwent a significant transformation, and his potential far exceeded what it had been before. This could be considered the system bringing Mu Chen one step closer to becoming a true Pikachu god, giving him greater strength to face future missions. However, regrettably, Mu Chen didn't accept the system's good intentions. Pikachu, what the hell? What kind of rubbish is this? How did I become unconscious after drinking that PP potion? When he woke up again, Mu Chen clearly had no idea what had happened. Because the potion modified the total amount of electricity his body could store, Mu Chen couldn't feel any change at all. This led to Mu Chen being filled with hatred for the system. You son of a bitch. Liar. Liar. They're all liars. A PP enhancing potion? I knew it. Things and games are complete nonsense in reality. I thought it was a treasure before, but it's just a bottle of sleeping pills, isn't it? But Alice, he had already drunk it, and returning it was absolutely out of the question. Despite his grief and anger, Mu Chen could only helplessly accept this bitter outcome. Pikachu, you're awake? That's great. Do you feel unwell anywhere? Xiaoxia, who was holding Pikachu, was the first to notice Mu Chen's awakening. Pika, Xiaoxia was so kind, she knew how to care for him and didn't lie. In Xiaoxia's warm embrace, Mu Chen felt as if he had found a haven where his wounded heart could find solace. Ha ha. I told you, Pikachu must have been overworked and hadn't rested well. See, a nap has made it all better. Seeing Pikachu awake again, Ash's carefree laughter rang out once more. Pikachu, you're the one who's overworked. Your whole family is overworked. As a real man, Mu Chen absolutely couldn't accept the label of being overworked. I'm as energetic as a dragon, okay? But Alice, due to the language barrier, Mu Chen couldn't argue with that idiot Ash. Even after nightfall, Mu Chen, sneaking around, secretly took Melodic's Pokeball. He didn't dare wake Ash to show him how powerful he was. There was no way he could do it, it was simply too shocking. Mu Chen knew he couldn't perform in front of others. Skillfully releasing the Pokeball, Melodic reappeared in the wilderness. And Mu Chen? Naturally, he began his homework handling journey. Chapter 72 Big Green Onion Duck? Beep beep, a series of quests. The third stage of the Road to Regain Glory quest has begun. Quest requirements: help Ash successfully capture a mysterious Pokémon on this deserted island. Penalty for failure: Melodic's affinity -10, and a random 2 cm shortening in one area. Holy crap. Again? After a long night of work, Mu Chen had just opened his eyes when he heard the quest notification in his brain. What the hell is going on? I just captured Melodic, and you're sending another one? Are you trying to force me to build a cheering squad? Unfortunately, Mu Chen's complaints were useless. The quest had been issued, and he absolutely could not accept the consequences of failure. As for the mysterious Pokémon mentioned in the quest, Mu Chen wasn't worried about that. As long as that thing was on this island, she definitely wouldn't escape. Because of his understanding of the system's unpredictable nature, Mu Chen was very certain that the Pokémon Ash was to capture this time was definitely her. Ah. A good night's sleep is so nice. Misty, wake up, let's keep going. Today, we'll try to explore this island completely. If we really don't find anything, we'll call for help. For new generation trainers like Ash, the League's protection measures are very comprehensive. Situations like theirs, where they suddenly encounter accidents and end up stranded on deserted islands, happen every year within the League. Therefore, the League has specially established a maritime rescue team to rescue trainers who encounter difficulties while traveling. Out of curiosity about this unknown island, Ash didn't choose to call for help immediately, but planned to explore the island. After all, Ash's purpose in traveling was to catch Pokémon. Maybe he'd encounter some rare Pokémon on this unknown island? Ash, we agreed that regardless of whether we can explore this island completely today, we must call for help tomorrow. Do you know we're running low on food? Traveling with the incredibly carefree Ash, Misty could only helplessly take on the role of the housekeeper. There was no way around it. This guy's mind was completely blank except for travel, Pokémon, and battles. If Zyosha wasn't more careful, the two of them would really be sleeping in the open. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, this island isn't big. A day is enough to explore it all. And I'm certain there are Pokémon on this island. Did you hear that? Last night, I heard a Pokémon's cry, Pikachu. Hearing Zyosha say this, Mu Chen, who was still struggling with the system task, was immediately startled. Holy crap! Wasn't this guy sleeping soundly? How could he have heard it? Others might not know, but Mu Chen certainly did. That so-called cry was made by melodic. Damn it, it seems I'll have to stay away next time I'm doing my labor duty. If this idiot sees me doing it, I'll be too ashamed to show my face. Just thinking about Zyosha catching him doing his labor duty fills Mu Chen with a wave of malice. Heave-ho! Just then, a loud cry rang out. Look! A Pokémon? Attracted by the cry, Ash quickly looked up at the sky. There, a duck with a green onion in its beak flew overhead. Farfetch'd. Ash, it's Farfetch'd. Misty also spotted the suddenly appearing Pokémon. At that moment, Misty suddenly felt that Ash was sometimes quite reliable. At least, he was very accurate in judging whether there were Pokémon around. Pikachu, holy crap. No way? Unlike Ash and Misty's excitement, Mu Chen felt the world suddenly darken, and the sky seemed to collapse. Holy crap. System, are you going to keep messing with me until I'm dead? I can tolerate melodic slender waist. How the hell am I supposed to kill this thing with a green onion in its mouth? Clearly, the moment Mu Chen saw Farfetch'd, he had already confirmed the mission objective. Finding a second Pokémon on this desolate island was unlikely to be easy. Therefore, the result was obvious. The mysterious Pokémon the system mentioned must be this duck with a green onion in its mouth. Ha ha ha. I told you there was one. Quick, let's chase after it. Seeing Farfetch'd appear, Ash was so excited he almost jumped for joy. As for the fact that Farfetch'd's call was different from what he heard last night, the carefree Ash didn't care at all. As long as it's a Pokémon, what does it matter what kind? Pikachu. Pikachu, no way. I'd rather die than go. Damn it, mission, fail already. What melodic's favorability? What 2 centimeters reduction? Reduce it wherever you want, I'm not playing anymore. At this moment, Mu Chen entered a berserk state. Just kidding, this duck with the smell of scallions, I absolutely couldn't bring myself to eat it. Just thinking about that scene made Mu Chen feel dizzy. Zyosha, wait for us. Of course, Zyosha didn't notice Pikachu's resistance. Even Misty, who was eager to catch up with Zyosha, didn't notice. She casually picked up Pikachu, who was still in a daze, and quickly chased after Zyosha. Pika, suddenly being picked up, Mu Chen instinctively wanted to give her a shock. But at that moment, he suddenly smelled that familiar scent. Damn it, it's Misty. I can't shock her. Mu Chen knew that if he dared to give Misty a shock, it would be difficult to hug her again. But the problem was, without shocking her, with his small arms and legs, he simply couldn't break free from Misty's embrace. Pikachu, don't move. I can't keep up with Ash. Having found a Pokémon, Ash naturally transformed into Master Ash, his stamina becoming outrageously high. They raced along, and Misty, already struggling to keep up, was further thwarted by the restless Pikachu in her arms. Misty's pretty face was filled with obvious displeasure. Pika, my life is so miserable. Unable to break free, Mu Chen could only lament his tragic fate. This won't do. I'd rather fail the mission than not get a roast duck later. This was the only resistance Mu Chen could muster at this moment. Chapter 73 Ralts. Hey, quack quack, just as the saying goes, after all the mountains and rivers, one finds a new path. Just as Mu Chen was about to make a final stand against his tragic fate, Zyosha finally caught up with the frantically running Zyosha. However, what appeared before them was not just a Farfetch'd. Opposite the Farfetch'd was a humanoid Pokémon about the same height as Pikachu, with a white body and a head of green hair. It's Ralts, just as Zyosha exclaimed. The Pokémon confronting the Farfetch'd was none other than Ralts, a psychic-type Pokémon unique to the Hone region. Pikachu, hearing Zyosha's exclamation, Mu Chen, who was almost in despair, perked up again. Ralts? This thing, if I remember correctly, she can eventually evolve into Gardevoir, right? System. You're my brother. Upon seeing Ralts, Mu Chen decisively forgot about the so-called electric roasted Farfetch'd. Are you kidding me? Even a fool could make this choice, right? On one side is a duck that smells like green onions, and on the other is a Ralts that can evolve into a beautiful lady. Is there even a choice? As for why Mu Chen was so certain that the system mission required him to capture Ralts, Mu Chen really couldn't confirm that. But it's simple, Mu Chen was prepared to fail and be roasted alive. Why would he have any other choice? It's a choice between two, so what's there to be afraid of? Having a choice is much better than having no choice at all, right? Pikachu. Let's battle. I'm going to capture both of these Pokémon. Ash wasn't concerned about why our Ralts from the Hoenn region had appeared here. All he cared about was how to capture these two Pokémon that were currently facing off. Pikachu, HMPH, capture them both? You wish. At this moment, Mu Chen didn't disobey Ash's orders and back down. However, Mu Chen didn't intend to let him capture this duck that smelled like green onions. Hey, Hu-ho! The already tense standoff was suddenly interrupted by the appearance of a yellow-skinned mouse, instantly drawing the attention of both Pokémon. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt. Attack Farfetch'd first. After some training, Ash was no longer the naive newbie he once was. Facing both Pokémon at the same time, Ash's choice was to have Pikachu defeat the flying Farfetch'd first. After all, if that thing flew, it would be difficult to catch. On the contrary, the Ralts, with its small arms and legs, looked much easier to deal with. However, Ash didn't know that among Ralts' signature moves was teleport. Pika Pika, Mu Chen decisively ignored Ash's command. What Farfetch'd? Get out of the way, it would be even better if you could run away. You see, Mu Chen was terrified that if he used Thunderbolt, the thing wouldn't be cooked before being captured by that idiot Ash. Therefore, Mu Chen simply ignored Farfetch'd and charged straight at Ralts. Little darling, come on. I'll take good care of you, Naru. Seeing Pikachu charging at him, Ralts let out an angry roar, showing no weakness. What? You think I'm easy to bully just because I'm small? No problem. Psychic attack. Pop, a crisp sound rang out. After Ralts roared, a visible pink energy shot towards the running Pikachu. Pika, holy crap. What's going on? Suddenly struck by psychic power, Mu Chen found his limbs completely out of control. Even worse, when did I learn to fly? Looking at the ground gradually separating from him, Mu Chen was utterly bewildered. This was, after all, the first time Mu Chen had ever experienced psychic abilities since coming to this world. Hey, Ralts, after all, hadn't evolved yet, and its psychic power was only enough to lift Pikachu a meter into the air. After letting out a reluctant cry, Ralts' psychic power gave way due to exhaustion. Thud, falling from the sky, Mu Chen was still completely bewildered. What the hell? What the hell was that? How did my body suddenly become uncontrollable? Pikachu. Don't panic, that's a psychic-type move, Psychic. Use Thunderbolt to counterattack, it's no match for you. Through the Pokédex, Ash quickly figured out the move Ralts used. When he saw that Ralts' psychic power had only temporarily lifted Pikachu off the ground, his tension immediately dissipated. This little thing, it's really not that strong. You know, when Pikachu was previously lifted into the air by Ralts, Ash was also filled with astonishment. Psychic moves, are they really that powerful? Pikachu, Thunderbolt? Come on, this is my little darling. Hearing Ash's command, Mu Chen ignored it once again. Why are you so ruthless? Can't we use something other than Thunderbolt? Like, Thunder Wave is acceptable, anyway, as long as he subdued Ralts. Mu Chen wouldn't want to use a powerful move like Thunderbolt to hurt this little cutie. Naru, seeing Pikachu shoot Thunder Wave at him, Ralts cried out and disappeared from its spot. Pika, what the hell? What's going on? Looking at the Thunder Wave hitting thin air, Mu Chen felt like he'd been completely outplayed by Ralts. Hey quack quack. However, in that instant of Mu Chen's stunned silence, a Farfetch'd, who had been ignoring the two, rushed forward. Farfetch'd was already furious at being ignored by these two. Now that it saw Pikachu had shown an opening, Farfetch'd decisively launched an attack. You two little brats, I'm the main character, okay, Pikachu, watch out for Farfetch'd's crazy attack. Seeing Farfetch'd launch a sneak attack on Pikachu, Ash quickly warned it. Pikachu, damn it. Ralts, I won't use electricity on you, do you think I'll let you have your way? Already humiliated by Ralts, Mu Chen was filled with rage. Now this Farfetch'd dared to come to his doorstep. What's the point of being polite? Thunderbolt, here you go. At this moment, the furious Mu Chen had clearly forgotten his previous worries. Forget about catching it, let me use electricity to vent my anger first. ZZZZT, a current flashed. A 3-finger thick bolt of electricity gathered between Mu Chen's cheeks and shot fiercely towards Farfetch'd. Chapter 74 Unexpected Events. Heave-ho, its type was weak to the Thunderbolt, a powerful electric type move. With just one hit, Farfetch'd let out a pitiful scream. Fortunately, the Farfetch'd wasn't directly knocked down by the Thunderbolt, but instead desperately flapped its wings and fled. Pikachu, holy crap. That was powerful. Looking at the Thunderbolt he had casually unleashed, Mu Chen was slightly taken aback. Before, it seemed like a casually thrown Thunderbolt was only about the thickness of 2 fingers, right? Now, how come it's thicker and more powerful than before? And, after using Thunderbolt this time, I don't feel any decrease in the electricity within my body? Could it be? At this moment, Mu Chen suddenly thought of the system reward from before, the PP boosting potion. That's it. It must be this thing. Ha ha ha. I knew it. How could this thing not work? It turns out its effect is only visible in actual combat. Oh no. Pikachu, quick, use Thunderbolt. We can't let Farfetch'd escape. Seeing Farfetch'd flapping its wings, trying to run away, Ash panicked. I was planning to catch it. How can I let it get away so easily? As for Ralts. After using teleport, Ralts had long since disappeared from everyone's sight. Ash didn't want to end up with nothing, not catching a single Pokémon. Pika Pika, go ahead and use your electricity, I'm not doing it. He was joking. Farfetch'd finally escaped. How could Mu Chen possibly use electricity to subdue it? This mission didn't specify which Pokémon to catch. Mu Chen didn't want to hear the mission completion notification after Ash caught Farfetch'd. That would be the death of him. Pidgeotto, use quick attack. We can't let Farfetch'd escape. At this moment, Ash displayed extraordinary adaptability. Ash was used to Pikachu's intermittent strikes. When Ash realized Pikachu had no intention of continuing its attack on Farfetch'd, he decisively summoned Pidgeotto, the sidelined player. Beep beep, a loud cry rang out, showcasing Pidgeotto's excitement. You see, this creature already had little status in Ash's hands, and now that Melodic had evolved, it was even less of a threat. Rarely given a chance to shine, Pidgeotto was bursting with fighting spirit. Well done, that's it, Pidgeotto, charge. Seeing Pidgeotto's high morale, Ash became excited. That's it. Charge. Farfetch'd had already taken a powerful Thunderbolt from Pikachu. Ash believed that as long as his Pidgeotto successfully caught up with Farfetch'd, he could definitely capture it. Pika-Pie, holy crap. Seeing Pidgeotto's lightning-fast dash, Mu Chen panicked. Was this some kind of joke? Damn it, am I really supposed to attack the duck with its mouth full of green onions? I can't stand that. But Pidgeotto had already charged out, and even if Mu Chen used his usual Thunderbolt attack, it wouldn't be enough time. Nara, just as Mu Chen was about to despair, Ralts' cry suddenly rang out. It turned out that although Ralts had used teleport to leave, it hadn't truly fled the battlefield. This Ralts was extremely competitive. Being forced back by Pikachu was unacceptable to the warlike Ralts. Therefore, after temporarily hiding, the Ralts, concealed in the grass, had been closely watching the battle. After a round of what wasn't really a direct confrontation with Pikachu, Ralts knew it was no match. But it still needed to vent its anger, right? And just then, that unlucky Pidgeotto appeared. Okay, Pikachu is too violent, I'm scared. Do you think I'd be scared of a little bird like you? Upon seeing Pidgeotto, Ralts instantly transferred its anger to this unfortunate creature, making it its target. I'm furious right now. Since you've come to my door, what's there to say? Psychic, here we go. Beep. Beep. Just as it was soaring through the air, enjoying the rare freedom, its wings suddenly went out of control, leaving Pidgeotto completely bewildered. What happened? Unfortunately, it had no idea what was going on. No matter how hard it tried to flap its wings, they were as if bound by a 1,000-pound boulder, unable to move an inch. Thud. Unsurprisingly, Pidgeotto performed a high-difficulty freefall in front of Ash. Oh no. Pidgeotto? Damn it. Farfetch'd escaped. Seeing Pidgeotto's quick attack fail so quickly, Ash was filled with frustration. Farfetch'd was about to catch up. Pikachu, my darling, you're awesome. Unlike Ash, Mu Chen was filled with a sense of relief. Ha ha ha. There's always a way out. Ralts, I knew you loved me. Mu Chen was naturally overjoyed that Farfetch'd had escaped. This was equivalent to confirming the system's final judgment. The mysterious Pokémon was undoubtedly Ralts. To prevent Ralts from escaping again, and to prevent any unexpected situations, Mu Chen didn't hold back this time. Pikachu, my darling, I'm sorry. For my future happiness, I can only ask you to temporarily suffer. Zzz. A bolt of electricity flashed. To keep Ralts in, Mu Chen didn't hold back at all this time. A dazzling flash of fire shone on both sides of his cheeks, and then the electricity coalesced into a three-finger-thick bolt of lightning, shooting towards Ralts, who was celebrating defeating Pikachu. This was truly beyond Ralts's expectations. Under the sudden attack, Ralts only let out a scream before collapsing at the spot where she had been celebrating. After all, with Ralts's small physique, she genuinely couldn't withstand Mu Chen's 100,000-volt attack. Ha ha ha. Great. Pikachu, well done. As the saying goes, what is lost on one front is gained on another. Ash, who had been lamenting Farfetch'd's escape, was overjoyed again. Ralts. This was much more precious than that Farfetch'd that smelled of green onions. Seeing Pikachu successfully defeat Ralts, Ash didn't stop celebrating while also throwing a Pokeball, and Ralts was officially captured by Ash. Chapter 75 That Sundeer Ralts. Ding ding, the fourth stage of the Road to Regain Glory quest has begun. That Sundeer Ralts. As a successful male, you must psychologically subdue Ralts. Quest requirements: within 1 month, get Ralts to accept you as a companion. Failure penalty: Melodic's affection -10. Quest chain interrupted. Hearing the system's voice, Mu Chen felt extremely relieved. Damn. Finally. This system has chosen Ralts. You see, when he saw Farfetch'd before, Mu Chen's heart almost jumped out of his chest. Thankfully, the nightmare didn't happen. However, what puzzled Mu Chen was, what the hell was this quest? That Sundeer Ralts? This thing is Sundeer? Sundeer is one thing, but why does it say I have to psychologically subdue her? Get her to accept you as a companion? What is this nonsense? Does she not accept me or something? Of course. That's not the most important thing. Anyway, the quest is complete. What puzzled Mu Chen most at this moment was whether Ralts was male or female. Although he kept calling it baby, to be honest, Mu Chen really had no idea. In his previous life, he had played Pokémon, and he knew a bit about Pokémon like Gardevoir. Although this thing looked like a beautiful young lady. But it seemed that there were many cross-dressing men among its species. Am I going to be that unlucky? Because this time, the system didn't give a clear indication of gender like it had with a previous Feraligatr. So Mu Chen was now completely conflicted. If it really was a cross-dresser, then I was doomed. This thing had already entered a chain of quests. No way. I'll find a chance to identify it later, to see if Ralts is a young lady or a cross-dresser. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep. Ha ha ha. Misty, look, my new Pokémon, Ralts. Of course, no one knew about Mu Chen's current dilemma. Ash was naturally thrilled to have acquired a new Pokémon. This little thing was incredibly powerful. Not to mention its teleportation that allowed it to disappear suddenly. Even its psychic attack, with practice, could become a formidable move. Ralts is so beautiful. No wonder it's one of the most popular Pokémon in the Hoenn region. Ash, let me hug Ralts. Women are powerless against anything cute and beautiful. And Misty, being a perfectly normal woman in every way, was naturally overflowing with affection upon seeing the beautiful Ralts. However, she overlooked one person, or rather, one Pokémon. Pikachu, damn it. That's my territory. Seeing Ralts invade his land, Mu Chen was furious. Regardless of whether it was a young lady or a cross-dresser, this was his territory. Defending territorial integrity was a basic quality every man should possess. Now that his territory had been violated, Mu Chen was enraged. What else is there to say? We must forcefully reclaim our territory and declare our inviolable sovereignty. Whoosh, without a word, with the aid of high-speed movement, Mu Chen instantly leaped into the air, his target being Xiaoxia. Hey, just as he was enjoying Xiaoxia's warm embrace, a yellow bolt of lightning suddenly shot towards him, and Ralts was furious. You see, After being defeated by Pikachu's sneak attack with Thunderbolt, Ralts was filled with resentment. Now, seeing this guy trying to steal the young lady's embrace, Ralts decisively retaliated. Pika, damn it. Here we go again. In mid-air, Mu Chen once again felt that feeling of his body being out of control. Obviously, Ralts had used psychic powers on him. Is Pikachu jealous? Seeing Pikachu so eager to jump into her arms, how could Xiaoxia not know why? When Xiaoxia saw Pikachu's pathetic state trapped in the air, she immediately laughed. Pikachu, damn it, I'm angry. Let's not even talk about how Ralts isn't even his girl. Even if she were, Mu Chen would never tolerate such behavior. Discipline. It must be upheld. Therefore, under the control of his psychic powers, Mu Chen chose to retaliate. He had to let this Ralts, whose gender was unknown, know who the boss was. Pikachu. No, Ralts is our partner. Seeing the electricity crackling on Pikachu's cheeks, Ash quickly intervened. These were all his Pokémon, they were all his flesh and blood. How could Ash watch them fight amongst themselves? Hey, before Mu Chen could react to Ash's shout, Ralts protested. It kept pointing its little finger at Pikachu from Misty's arms, as if complaining. Seeing Ralts preemptively accusing him, Mu Chen nearly exploded with rage. Damn it. Is this what they call Sundeer? This is just asking for trouble. Okay, Ralts, let go of Pikachu. Once again amused by the two adorable Pokémon, Misty returned Ralts to Ash. Frankly, she cared more about Pikachu. When she saw Pikachu's furious outburst over her embrace, a sweet feeling even flickered in her heart. This little guy really cares about her. Having understood Pikachu's attitude, Misty naturally wouldn't continue to hurt a little guy's fragile heart. Therefore, Misty had made a decision, she wouldn't easily hug Ralts anymore. Clearly, Pikachu was incredibly jealous. Pika, releasing his psychic control, Mu Chen instantly leaped into Misty's arms. Damn it. Ralts, you little brat, you just wait. If it were a young lady, that would be fine. But if it were a cross-dressing man. At this moment, Mu Chen made a decision. No more waiting, tonight is the night to find out if this Ralts is a girl or a cross-dresser. Regardless, this Ralts needs to be taught a lesson. Damn it, if she isn't given a proper education, this guy won't know who's in charge in this team. At this moment, Mu Chen suddenly realized, compared to Ralts, Melodic is really gentle. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all, see you in the next video.